Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another old session from the Wise Asylum. Oh, we've had a good week. I've been tapped. I've been sick of words, man. Trying to describe it, it just gets a bit exciting with crap. So I've had a mad week for that. It's been a long week, it feels. But then we're an hour early, because of course clocks went back last night, so it feels weird as well. I'm usually just getting out to the shower about now, but I'm sure we'll manage. So tonight's show is Bloodlines of the Genghis. That bad one. You know, that badass from over to the other side at Russia. Because I'll tell you what it is, in my opinion, that golden horde, as they call themselves, the golden horse, are the problem. And I think that the entire Western Rome, including Byzantium, capitulated to it way back in the mist of time, and became its vassal in order that it didn't continue to completely and utterly envelop the entire European landmass. And I think the way that they've done that is, of course, he's bred into all the bloodlines. Because if you think about it, that's the one bunch of nut jobs. They're not Muslims, they're not Jews, they're not Christians, they're not Buddhists, they're not Hindus, they're not Confucianists. They're neither of the existing religions. And so they don't give a shit. They don't care. They're none of that. None of it. They are the Talmud. Make no mistake about it. And the reason why a particular group have sucked into it quick, because they love it. They love that game. And I suppose that's probably why they've been the master sort of puppets. And got in everywhere. So we've gone through a few bloodlines now, haven't we? We've shown the Stuarts, we've seen the Guinnesses or the Irish ones, how they all interconnect. We'll have a look at some more today, because they all tie back to Mary the Medici. And it's interesting where the origin of that comes from, because of course you can see again, this game is going on into Byzantium. At the days of the Comnene, at the height of their power over there in Byzantium. So it might get a little bit interesting if you're into this kind of stuff. But I would say we look at these elite families, and what we're seeing is basically maybe our old bloodlines, but they've all been enveloped and interbred with this this bad bunch over there in the east. And the reason why all the prophecies speak about the man from the east. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to be seeing a Chinese guy, as it were. And of course, we all think China, don't we? And so much of this stuff today, it presents China as the ultimate enemy. But China, as same, has been taken over by this group, because they weren't just attacking West; he attacked everything. So who formulated that massive army? We can leave that open to speculation. But we do know the Phoenicians were trading over that way before anybody even knew it existed. So once again, it could go back to the feet of the Phoenicians, or the seafarers that were remaining after the old Atlantis Empire collapsed on the land, still leaving all the merchants and the navy afloat with all the ports that they went to, traded with, etc., etc. So basically, the empire shifted onto the oceans, and that's where they kept it. So that's potential. We have investigated certain histories in relation to that of Israel and Judah, and how we've worked out that Judahites were never a part of the tribe of Israel. In fact, the Judahites were just trying to force their own monotone God on them, and they refused, saying basically, we don't want a God we can't talk to, only through you, because that doesn't make sense. And let's be honest, it doesn't make sense, innit? If there's an Almighty up there and you can only talk to him through a group, then that group's got all the power on the planet, has it not? And it's worked for absolutely millennia. So yeah, it's just not good. None of it is good. And we look at our elites, and they might look like us, but they're certainly not acting like us. And the Holy See grouping of images I've put together that you've watched a few times, that opening speech by Prince Philip, I think it was from the 90s, pretty much tells it all as to what they're up to. And of course, in order to do that, they need all the religions to despise each other, the races to move against each other. Now, very interesting as well, very recently, Vlad the puppet announced that he's got evidence that Jesus was a black man. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, can you? However, you've got to look at this a little bit deeper. What is going on here? They're flooding Europe with North Africans. North Africans that have been abused by the Arab slavers and also by the French and other colonial operations. So specifically speaking, mainly North Africans. The further south you get, the more gentle they seem to be. But they are into witchcraft in a big way, and they do carry out muti, which is very, very important and dangerous because most people don't have a clue what it is. Basically, they carry willies of humans around with them, and the white willy is prized part of that tradition. So they're basically flooding Europe with these nut jobs that are not in any way, shape or form in sync with any Europeans, be you white, be you brown, be you black. Because black people have been over here forever. They were over in the Americas forever. They weren't all took over there as slaves, they were there before. The Moors did that. The Moors had power over in the Americas for a long time, and the blacks that were over there weren't slaves. They were going over with the Moors, like they were across Europe. So we have to get a distinction between black people, as we know, the people that give us all this great music, and these North Africans that have been abused for how long in colonialism, and just pretty much hate everybody, and you're certainly not what we call civilized. We're not calling them for it, but that's just the situation it is. And for Putin to come out with something like this, and then if you've been keeping up with Obama over his years and who he is, what he's about, what he's really about, not necessarily what they tell you he's about, it wouldn't surprise me if this anti-life chief is going to be a black guy. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And the fact that a lot of these North Africans are coming over claiming to be Muslims, again, is another method of gathering the weak amongst what we'd call Islam to the same cause. It's not a pretty picture. It's not a pretty picture. It's also very in sync with what Fatima presented as a warning back in 1917 that wasn't carried out basically in 1960 before they actually sealed the deal with Vatican II. So, the warnings have been there. I don't think we've been watching it or seeing it properly because of the language, the written word. You really have to understand that the spoken word and the written word are completely different systems. And of course, the written word is where the word wizards have played forever. And they take you right off the game in everything, They really do. I mean, we gave an example with the 666 description, looking for the man. It's not a particular man, it's a version of man that's across the entire world. And they're going to give you a prince that would satisfy a big chunk of that version of man. And that's just 3 little words in there that don't keep you seeing it correctly, but take you off the game. I mean, it's so my points of reference for when I'm looking at what I do, how I work, how I operate, it's Genesis 1. There's no rules in there, save for the fact that they tell you who they are and that you're in the image of. And what they tell you that they did was create the heavens, the earth, yeah, the animals, and man. He created everything. And I don't know how you see things when you look out there in nature and the bigger, wider world and up there at the old stars. But to me, that's beautiful. It's a great creation. They created a great thing and told us that we were in the image of them. So obviously, there are the rules, if you will, but they're not laid out as rules because we're given free will. But basically, if you want to be in sync with Genesis 1, you've got to be creating something of value, something of worth, something to match the beauty of the creation that they've given you. Then, of course, you've got the doctrines. Which doctrines do you want to look through? Which doctrines do you hold dear? Because, of course, it's showing you who you are. And for me, personally, I've studied most traditions that are actually still active today in these last 30 years, and nothing comes close to the message in the gospel. Not the gospel verbatim as it's written, because it's contradictory in many places, and of word wizards have made it appear something it isn't. But the message is clear. If you're referencing Genesis 1, and you're referencing your own intuition, especially the more you cleanse yourself as an avatar, as a being, and pull your soul through, then your points of reference are more solid, they're more certain. And of course, if they're not, they're off kilter quite. You follow it, it'll show you can cleanse it. And the written word, of course, is always there to convince you that actually that little part of you inside you, oh look, there's a tradition for it, it must be you, carry on, rather than having these references and think, well, how does it fit with reference in Genesis 1? How does it fit with reference to the message in the gospel? It doesn't, therefore it's not on the right path. It needs to be cleansed from my inner kingdom, you might say. So that's basically what I do. I follow the path according to those, taking those points of reference, regardless of what I'm studying, regardless of what I'm seeing, regardless of what I'm being told. It doesn't matter to me. I'll take it in, but ultimately I'm using those points of reference to work out whether it's in sync with the path or it's off the path, and always moving ever to try and cleanse myself so that I am moving right in the right direction. You know, that's the game as far as I'm concerned. So, yeah, what's going on? It's not good, is it? It's really not good how this game's moving. I mean, there's some really terrible little vids coming out now of these North Africans basically coming over with weapons. They've got hooks and they're pretty much letting you know that, okay, they might be stabbing odd folk now and again, but they've got a lot more weaponry in their arsenal, and they're going to start using it on the streets. You know, this violence is just getting so much worse on the tube systems, especially in Europe, especially in America. It's really getting bad. And this black and white division is moving along a little bit too quick. But of course, if one side thinks it's a victim and that the other's a perpetrator, then it's going to excite those that are not going to think much of themselves and still hold into that victim mentality. And they're going to see this new game coming about. And if I'm correct that this king of this anti-life system is going to be black, and that this princely system is sort of the mechanic by which he's going to operate his power. So, you know, we've looked at the guy in Morocco. You've got Prince William here, who's clearly a fruitcake. You know, there's all sorts of nonsense going on. They've gone completely annihilated. You can see our monarchical system has just been demolished through the reign of Elizabeth II. And they kept up the image of it while she were on the top of it. But as soon as she's gone, all hell's broken loose. And it's just ridiculous, isn't it, really? But ultimately, they're still using it with what we've looked at recently, that with this Kate nonsense. They're just trying to keep you always focused to being patient. basically. And that's what and why it's still important that we speak about these things so that people start to recognise that you can't trust anything coming out from these institutions anymore because they're not operating in any way, shape or form in accordance with our system, our civilization and our culture. None of it. It's the opposite of it. So that's basically the message I'm trying to get across. If you can keep up with what's going on. Same with this nonsense eclipse. I mean, bit odd that the sun and the moon are not actually in Aries, and they're probably not going to be in Aries at the time of this eclipse. So what is it that they're doing? Now, I found I picked up an interesting little take from Ricardo Boss in Australia, who was asked a question about the chemtrails, and he said, "Oh, don't worry about it now. They're not poisoning you now. They're covering the sky so you can't see what they're doing with these craft that appear to be alien but are actually military craft." So he suggested that they're blanketing. I also saw another video where there's a lass with a torch shining up into the sky at night in a forest, and the sky became like a wall because the shadows of the actual tree were showing themselves against the sky. So that's a spray gig, isn't it? That's something they've sprayed into the sky. He's suggesting to block. I put up on the Facebook this week something called Crimson Mist that I wasn't aware of, but it's been suggested was first tested in Rwanda, in sync with this tech that they're putting up there, which suggests maybe these towers aren't necessarily on yet. They're just putting it all up ready. And of course, it makes sense. You're going to put these towers up. You don't want to start using them right away because everybody's going to be going off the wall. But if you're creeping it in, or just using them at night when everybody's asleep, when you're in the REM state, which again has been suggested, then maybe we haven't seen the real capacity of this system they're putting up yet. So keep that in mind as well. But that's rather perturbing because they're putting them up for a reason and they're spending a bloody lot of money. Are they not? And they've got plenty of fruitcake engineers happy to put it up, haven't they? I mean, a lot of people I know now are all running off to BT. It's good money, yeah, but what are you putting up? Have you given that a thought? Have you actually given a thought for what it is you're actually building out there? Because it's going to affect you, it's going to affect your offspring, your grandma, your granddad, your dog and your cat. So, again, just this unthinking nonsense that keeps going on. Yeah, Bluebeam as well. I mean, that's been going on since late 40s, early 50s. They've been pulling that together. And, I've seen a lot of stuff on these videos from around the world that suggests, yeah, that's Bluebeam at play. But yeah, they have these holographic capabilities with these lasers, which makes you wonder what Starlink actually really is. What actually is it? We don't actually know. We get told what it is, but we don't know what it is. We've no idea what it is. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on, but this eclipse, it doesn't sound like it's an eclipse, a real one. So there's something else going on there. Is it man-made body that they're going to utilise to eclipse the sun? Or is it, as we'll have a little look at in a minute, these bodies that are not translucent, that have been claimed to be there, that we just can't see them. And the only times we get a glimpse of them is when they cover one of the luminaries, be it the moon or indeed the sun. But there's definitely something strange afoot with this eclipse. It's not what it's... And of course, we know they're playing to a script. Somebody comes out with a prophecy, well, to them it's a blueprint. All right, well, we'll make that happen. There's a lot of suggestions that the entire biblical script would turn into a futurist game, i.e. futurism, in order they could replay it again. Maybe because nobody'd come away properly from this garden of the three chakras in the lower nature not actually coming true. But I think for the first 1,000 years that probably was correct. They did, because we built some great architecture as we investigated last week. And again, we got a bit of more of an insight into the truth with these secret societies. That they haven't always been evil, they haven't always been bad. They've been secret in a lot of cases because they've had to be. But more importantly, when you get to nitty-gritty of it, they've all been working for Rome anyway. Even though they've kept secret, they've all still required Rome, because it's Rome that had the money to build this architecture. So again, it's all smoke and mirrors, whichever way you look at it. But there's so much bullshit been gone into this these secret society doctrines since they took the guilds over and instituted the high degrees, occulted degrees all over the show, and basically began to control them. So you know, if you've got granddad and uncle in lodge, he probably hasn't got a clue what's going on above the lodge. He's just there. He has his business friends. He has his friends. And he gets what he wants. He doesn't question anything else. But they're just fronting what's really going on in the back end, which is where the power is. And in my session in that 7 years, clearly, the higher you go, the more they're interconnected. You know, the drugs are all run at the bottom end by, you would say, gangsters. But when you move up a few levels, they wear suits. The people that are CEOs of companies, people that you respect, people that you look up to. That's how it works. It's the game. The police protect it. The police are running around getting anybody that's bringing their own in. They're getting rid of the competition. I mean, that's a done deal. They've done that. And built a massive informing network since the 90s on the back of that. You know, you got caught back in the day with them drugs, the sentences were big. They're going to put an option on the table, or you work for us, or you're going to go to jail. A lot of people that got stuck into that were not going to jail. So that's why it's pretty much knocked off any idea of an underworld. There is no underworld that belongs to the people. All these systems, but in fact they've always belonged to that as well. I mean, I watched an interesting interview with a guy called Mickey Mace the other day, who was a gambler and made 32 million in 1 year in Las Vegas, got banned from all these things. But when he's talking about his history, he was an affluent family, said that he were all around Italian mafia. So he grew up with that. So obviously his family were connected one way or another. But then interestingly, towards the end of his interview, we're talking about how he's a bit of a philanthropist. And very interestingly, he said that he supports Abad Lubavitch with money. So he's Italian, but supporting Abad Lubavitch, which suggests, like a lot of people have suggested always, and that the reason why all the mafia films you've ever got shoved down your neck are Italian mafia, is that ultimately in all the American underworld systems from Prohibition, it's always been the Jewish mafia. They've been running everything. Always. And that's why you don't see the Jewish figures all over the shop. That pans out when you get into Albert Pike. His intermediary over in Europe was a high-level Jewish mafia operative. So it all makes sense when you start to unpeel the nonsense and just look a little bit further behind it. Because of course then the Italian mafia have been scapegoated for basically everything. Have they not? I'm not saying they're innocent, but what I'm saying is pulling it together under the corporate has not been directly because of the the Italian mafias, because they were opposing that. You know, they once ran Vegas, that got took over by the corporate. They once ran Cuba, that got took over by the Cuba. They put Castro on. His son's now running Canada. So, again, it's just important that we look a little bit deeper when we look at these bloodlines. They might have the same colour face as us. They might have a darker skin because they're from Italy or other European countries. But ultimately, there's something else got in there, something else controlling them. And because you look at some of these families and you look at some of these family members, and some of them look like they're loving it, and some of them you don't look like they're loving it, you know? They really don't. I mean, Queen Mother's husband, Edward I can't remember who he is, George the Sixth, was it? You look at that image that we showed last week, he's not an happy chap, but she is. Because she is the Horde Priestess, operating for this other bloodline that everybody believes is Jewish, well, or Khazarian. Well, Khazarian could be correct because the Khazars, the Khanates, running in sync with Genghis the Khan. And this is another way why Muslims go, oh, he's called Khan, isn't it? It must be a Muslim. No, there's no representation of the surname Khan. It's because of the Khanates that they had over there. over to the side of Russia, but you know, you hapless Muslim, oh God, he's got to be a Muslim, he's called a Khan, man, he must be a good geezer. No, they've shafted every single one of us, and they're playing off these religions against each other. That's what's going on. Right now, we looked, you know, I've shown you, Isa Brothers, it's not their money. And I noticed today, Isa Brothers, Asda, shut Easter Sunday. Why? Because they're working for the Waltons. They're just puppets. And you can see that, the fact that Walmart has now bought up EG Group. Because EG Group were theirs all the time. They're just fronting it. And this is how they play it. And if you're not thinking properly, if you're not on the ball, you're going to fall for the garbage. Because A, you've not read your own doctrine. B, you've not read anybody else's doctrine. And you're running around, like people say to me, you're a Christian. I say, well, okay, let's have a look at that, shall we? Because most people that run around calling themselves Christians today are absolutely not. What they're actually doing is hiding behind that idea. They're certainly not Christian in any way, shape or form. Especially the Americans. These evangelicals, there's nothing about the gospel in them. The only connection they have to that is they use the word Jesus all the time. That's it. There's nothing about them and the tradition that's got anything to do with the message in the gospel. Nothing to do with it at all. So I'll say, no, I can't claim to be a Christian. They say, oh, you're a Muslim. I say, well, no, I've studied it. And when you get into the Hadiths and the Surah, I have to say, I am not a soul that would be commanded to do what the Surah and what the Hadith is saying you have to do. It's not me, so I'm not a Muslim. Are you a Jew? No, I can't be a Jew, because I don't think I'm superior to anybody else. I don't want to kill anybody else, and I don't want the world to myself. So I can't claim to be any label. There's no label I can accept from anybody. Not because I don't want to be, but because when you've studied these doctrines, you know, to run around and say, I am this, when you haven't actually studied it, you're a fool. Not only you're a fool, you're a fucking retard. And this is why you're in the mess you're in. So when you're going, oh, why is it happening to me? Well, because you're a fucking nut job. You've not done anything apart from swoon, watching telly, and playing with yourself. How can you expect to be in a state of fear? It's because ignorance, fear is born in ignorance, or egoic system at the bottom end. I mean, an ego, in a sense, when you're looking at it negative, it's the fear side of it that's born that negative ego side of things. You know, people really, you've really got to take stock with yourself. Never mind looking at what everybody else is doing, and I'm going to sort him out, and I'm going to sort him out, and I'm blah, blah, blah. What a waste of your time. Focus on yourself, because it's you that's suffering, it's you that's dealing with this shit. And the fact that you don't know what's going on makes it a lot more difficult for you, and fear runs riot. So your responses to what you're going to do and how you're going to do it and deal are negative. And they're just going to, you're building more of the same. What you're fearing is you're becoming. And that's the natural progression of it. You fear it, you look into how you mitigate it, you actually become it. And even if you don't become it now, your mindset's becoming ready. And basically, you know, it's like, we really have to be careful here, because they depend on two religions coming to war now, as we're going to have a look at on a couple of these little short videos. The next phase here is the Ephors. Israel's going to get attacked by every nation around it. This is the plan, you see. This is the plan. It's not some, it's always not gone right. This is the plan. You know, they've pulled all the Jews into Israel. They're going to annihilate the Jews in Israel, because right now you've got the elites moving to Perth. They're getting ready to move into Ukraine. That's what Putin's been doing. He's been clearing the way for them to go back to their homeland. Yeah, that's what's going on. They want a war with Russia because they just want the white race to go to war against itself again. But more importantly, the next phase is Islam are going to attack Israel, rightly so, for what they're doing. Nobody's going to deny that. And then the West are going to turn on Islam. But of course, Muslims are everywhere. So it's not going to be a war where you can watch it on telly over there. Iraq's going to be in your back garden. Afghanistan's going to be in your back garden. Syria is going to be in your back garden. Do you understand that? And, you know, these black Africans, this for me, only because I know the mindset. they're going to be a serious problem here. Not just for white people, but they're going to be a problem for Muslims. They're going to be a problem for blacks that live here as well. Because it's all just pulling in this division between black, Muslim, white. And you can see it playing out everywhere. In America, they've got Mexicans, they've got South Americans. That's all coming in. You know, these bloodlines, as we're going to go through them in the next few weeks, control every single mafia. They control every single organisation, company, corporation in every nation. In every nation. And we get a glimpse of that through Dr. John Coleman, where he presents this ultra-national group called the Olympians, or Committee of 300. Now, a lot of people don't believe it exists. Fine, it doesn't matter. But you've got to accept that you only see things as government. You think government's controlling everything. You think government is where you're going to get change. You're not going to get any change with government, because the Privy Council controls the government, because it's sorting out the people in each party who's going to make up the cabinet. So it doesn't matter. So the next raft after this election, there's going to be things that have to be done here in this country. It doesn't matter whether it's Tories, Labour, Greens or Liberals. Whatever party gets in, the agenda is going to go forward. But it's in that initial couple of years that they get most of it done, because you voted your party and you're happy as a pig in shit. You're not watching the game. You're just supporting it, and then you start to think, oh shit, like you did with Tony Blair. Yeah, you got Tony Blair came in when everybody was sick to death of Thatcher. You know, she beat the shit out of the miners. She wrecked the unions, and which they needed doing because they were insane, socialist Fabians, so it was the same two wings of the same bird again, left and right. And everybody were ready for something brand new from getting rid of these Tories. John Major, pathetic. They were all pathetic. Everybody were ready for a change. And what did you get with Tony Blair? A mass murdering psychopath pig, because of course it was Gordon Brown's gig. And Gordon Brown is a uber dark communist. And a friend of mine told me exactly that. He were in Campbell's spin thing and told me exactly the crack. And he said, Tony Blair was just a front man, which I already knew. He said, but in the presence of Gordon Brown, you knew you were in the presence of pure evil. Okay? So all this excitement that might be going on, let's get Labour in, let's make a change. You're not going to get no change apart from faces. And then a whole bunch of followers and supporters are just going to ignore what you're actually doing for a couple of years because they're just happy that you've got in because they're stupid. This is how politics works. This is why it's just ridiculous. Same at your council level. You know, I mean, you look at all these elections in councils. The only thing that flips is the party. You actually look at the situation. It's the same councillors. It's the same councillors. Always. I mean, if I go back to when I started actually putting the councillors in Ireland on notice of what they were actually putting in here, which were fascism, they're all still in, apart from maybe 5 or 6 newbies that don't know their ass from their elbow, but will do what they're told anyway. The only thing that flips is, oh, it says Labour and Conservative. There's no change whatsoever. None. And it's like, it's sad that people can't, you know, we're at this time, 2024, and folks are still getting excited about an election. It's just, you know, get a grip, people. That's best I can say. So, who's joined us tonight? Paul says, good evening, Sean, and fellow inmates of the White Sound. Good evening, Paul. Slipknot. All right, Sean, Jackie, and everyone. It's not work, mate. It's still at it. But I haven't tried the electrocution thing yet. So, we've that to go for. I haven't had time this week to wire it up, because I've just been transcribing. So, it's. I thought we might have. So, I'm going to have to do the electrocution thing. We'll try that. If I die, it's Tred's fault. Everybody. Hiya, Slipknot. John says, hello, John. Nice to see you. PY Music says, evening all, evening, Paul. You still off the bifters? I certainly am. 9 weeks in now. And, I've sat with people while they've pumped in away on it, and no interest. The clarity of my mind is just so much better, I have to say. It's just, it benefits me in every way, especially with what I'm doing at the moment. I'm holding it in, I'm not losing it, it's not going anywhere, you know, it's staying there, I can focus, and it's making sense to me. So, Eunice says, Eunice in a gangbang. Hello, Eunice. Nice to meet you. Glad you could join us. Mark says, hi, Sean and the Enlightened Ones. Hello, Mark. Guitar Girl, good evening all. Looking forward to an interesting history lesson. Cheers, Sean. Yeah, well, we've just, I mean, you've got to look at these bloodlines and know what they are, who they are, and then we can stop blaming each other. You know, once we start to understand that these bloodlines are all operating together, they're screwing the blacks, they're screwing the whites, they're screwing the Muslims, they're screwing the Jews, they're screwing the Buddhists, the Tibetans, the Indians. We're all being shafted by these people. And if we can start to see that, the game ends. The game ends. So, hey, Guitar Girl. AMCN. Thought I'd come across a music channel. Great intro, conversation right up my street. AMCN, welcome. Welcome indeed. June says, good evening, Sean. Evening, June. John says, good vid already. You haven't started yet, John. David Gregg says, evening all. We got thumbs up, the eyeballs, and the smiley face. Evening to you, David. John says, was at a black house party last night. Black Christians all love Trump. Well, I mean, let's look at it, right? A bit like Hitler in his day. Everything he said, everybody wanted to hear. Trump's the same. He's telling you everything you want to hear. But I'll be honest with you guys, I'd rather have Trump than these shitbag left. They're insane. They're insane what they're wanting to do. Starmer has made it clear the only thing that the thing the economy needs here is more immigration. What? We're all going to lose our communities. All of us with this nonsense. Because we're all going to be... Yeah, anyway. But I know what you're saying, mate. And we know that they're all the same. He's as fixed into all his families as any of them. But I don't know. I mean... You can't put any hope in any of these politicians, but yeah. Anyway, but he's the only guy talking sense. So anybody that's loving Trump, what he's saying, I can't knock it, but I can. We know that he's no different. I mean, remember what he launched, and he's proud of it. So you know, there you get your insights in it. But I don't know. What do you do? These elections are going to go on. People are going to get in. I think I'd still rather have Trump in. But last thing we want is Labour in. Because if we get Labour in here and Trump in America, the divide between America and England is just going to get bigger and bigger. And we're screwed. I mean, you can pretty much see now we're back onto Dad's army tackle. We don't have now. It's going to be every man for himself. And it's not going to be pleasant, is it? I just hope the blacks here that don't suck into this shit and you know, because we're not America. I know there's always been a lot of racism in America, but we're not racist here. We're not racist, you know. Where are we? Eunice says Luke 10:18 tells us who the AC is. Black Jesus Obama. Well, I'm beginning to really think that is the man that they're going to put forward. As this, because it looks like he's been behind Biden's administration the whole time, because I don't believe Biden is the real Joe Biden, and I don't think he ever has been. Just by looking at his ears and certain other features, they're not the same. Same with Vladimir Putin. They're not the same. Prince Charles, it's not the same Charles. But we also have to bear in mind they're very good with these masks. These masks today, I watched somebody on Twitter put one on. It looked terrible before he put it on, but once he put it on, it was like, bloody hell. And then this Chinese guy, he was on TikTok, he had loads of followers as a bird. And it's a fella with a mask on and makeup, and it's like, whoa. So you might be right, Eunice. I think we're in some trouble there, because I mean, a lot of people saw through Obama back in the day after he did his gig, because he was just doing Zbigniew Brzezinski's script anyway. But these guys from Africa are just not a full shilling. You know what I mean? They're not a full shilling, these guys. And they're being protected. by the police, which is a private company now. They're not constables anymore. They're private companies. They're giving all these immigrants papers. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's just not good. It's really not good. And if Islam and Christianity pull apart properly, then neither of us are going to... We're all going to suffer in a way that's just not going to work for any of us. You know, because I know the Muslims think, oh, well, we're all right, we've got our own supply chain. Yeah, but you won't have when ships kick in. I mean, you've seen now bridges again. So they did the bridge in Baltimore. They've done another one. But at the same time, the same week, they did one knocked into a load of cranes in Turkey. So they're starting to now hit the ports. So you can see that this importation of food, you can see the farmers now. Craig put a good video up the other day, and I have to say, I have to be in agreement with him, because when this farmer gig kicked off, I was straight in there, connected to them all and said, look, I'll open a shop, can you supply me? Not a single word, but I also know they're getting letters off the government saying, you can't sell your stuff. Limiting what they can do. Now this is Codex Alimentarius, and this, we found this out in 2008 off a lass called Dr. Rima Laidlaw. And her husband was a general in the American Army. He's dead now. I don't know what's happened to Rima. I don't think I've seen much of it, but she brought it to our attention in 2008. It came into force in 2012. And in that, you can't grow your own food. Most of foods are classed as poison because they're classing vitamins and minerals as poison. And you're not allowed to collect your own rainwater. And Idaho is getting letters to that effect right now. So it's Codex Alimentarius. So these farmers have just signed in, according to Craig, a 3-year gig to not farm. Now, not all of them. And it's going to service the big boys most, because they're getting something like 250 quid an acre. So at that level, then they have to spend 2 million quid on tractors. So you're looking at all these tractors whizzing around Blighty. They've just been bought on the back of this deal they've just done with government to not farm for 3 years. 3 years, people. You know, 3 years. And one day when we go into them supermarkets, there's nothing in. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Especially given they've created these divisions amongst us. What are we going to do? Yeah? Think hard about this, people. Telly doesn't matter now. Getting foreskins in your lips to look beautiful doesn't matter anymore, girls. Doesn't matter. You need a male to protect your family, because your kids are feral. You know, it's like you need to refocus. Everybody needs to refocus right now. Because these farmers are going to be a problem if this is correct. They're going to be the barrier between you growing and not growing. And if the farmers can't see that, I know you've got shotguns and all, you think you're safe, boys. But have you thought about what it means? Mass groups of people just enveloping your farmhouse and taking the lot. You can have 25 shotguns each. It's not going to save you, boys. Get a grip. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I think you might be right with that, Eunice. I'm starting to see it that way. I really am. Jerry Sunamic says, hi Sean, all in the wise sound, a bit late, but here now. Hello, Jerry. Mew says, morning, afternoon, everyone. And hello to Sean, I am Jeff. John says, the pothole crisis is also not incompetence. No, they do it deliberately. I watched a bunch do it over Preston a few years ago. Big gang come with old wagons, old machinery, and there were about 20 lads. And I'm watching them, and I just went over to him, and I said, am I paying for that? And he went, yeah. So while you've got knuckle-dragging fruitcakes that are prepared to do such a shit job, yeah, again, it's down to us. So these people at Lancashire County Council are assholes. They're actually happy to make the road worse than it was. And this is why they were putting salt down this year when we didn't need it in winter, because we didn't really have any frost. Because it's the salt getting into these potholes that undermines the asphalt and rots it. Same at the edges of the road. It rots it. And that's why they were doing it when there was absolutely no need to put it down. I watched them do it. Slipknot says, aren't they cracking up CERN on the day of the eclipse? Yeah, I'm still not sure I buy into a lot of what they're talking about when it comes to what CERN can and can't do. I know they're talking about portals and all this malarkey. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of stuff they're doing is a bit of a blag, and they're trying to create. They're trying to get. See, what I've always felt they do, these elites, is things that are naturally occurring as we go through these cycles, these changes. They like to preempt it so that we believe they're all powerful. So we're giving them more power than they actually have, and thus we're dependent on them. Do you know what I mean? Keeps the game going. So I've noted that for a long time, in that, you know, they're always claiming more power than they have because you just think you need them. You can't do it yourself. But well, they are cracking it up on the 8th, but there's something going on. There's definitely something going on with this eclipse, which isn't an eclipse. It's certainly not the sun and the moon. Let's put it that way. Cos says, no, the moon and the stars. Well, there we go. Mark says, so good evening, Cos. Mark says, evening, Sean. Evening, Mark. Mupate allegedly Trevor in response to CERN. Jerry says, a bit like the movie or series The Gentleman. I'm not sure whether I've seen that. Not sure whether I've seen it. But didn't Obama's gig last year have Baltimore Bridge? I don't like it. I really don't. Trump. You have to get Trump in the US. You have to. And then you also have to make sure you look after us over here, because we're on your side, guys. We're not with this shit. I mean, I do worry that if we get Labour in here and Trump gets in America, the divide's just going to be huge. It won't be. There'll be no relationship, never mind a special relationship. So yeah, I don't like that. Untitled says, hello Sean and all estate holders, hello to you. Untitled. Michael Jr. says, evening all, evening Sean, good evening Michael. John says, oh, wait a minute, what have I done there? Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini, yeah, that's right. Mazzini being of the Jewish Mafia. David Schwimmer says, is white. Another day in woo-woo land. Glad people like Sean can make sense of it all. I do try, and I do think I can make sense of it, to be fair. I do think that is my gift. I can see through the bullshit, which is why my enemies used to give me the label Merlin. Jerry says, I listened to Rev Gator's take on it today, as fruity loopy as he can go. On he spake almost exactly about what Sean has been telling us. Really? Well, there you go. Because, well, I've watched a lot of these black pastors in America over years, and they're on the ball, them guys. They're not talking the shit that comes out of churchism. Some of them black pastors in America, and a lot of them got shut up during the book script. These guys they're reading this stuff and getting it, you know, the Bible and the prophets. They get it, them guys. Jerry says exactly 100%. So Rev Gators, I don't know that, guys. I don't really pay much attention. I have to say, I've been watching some of Alex Jones stuff, and I'm quite impressed with a lot of stuff he's doing. I have to be honest. I am. He's putting out some good stuff. So yeah, I think I'm just going to give everybody a blank slate, me now, and just start again. So forget what's happened in the past. Same with David Icke, you know, just forget all that shit. Let's just crack on. And I'm sure everybody will show themselves as removed if they're not acting correctly. But I'm done with all the bullshit now, and I'm done with undermining folk, and I'm done with doing all that. Let's just crack on, and let's get making sense out of this shite before it goes tits up, and everybody's fighting for survival. Brother Sean, if your own house is in order, you're in a position to make some difference. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. David says, hi, John. And hi, friend, says John. Hotel doors open. What do you mean by that, John? Eunice says, problem, reaction, solution. Yes, absolutely. And fair play, that was coined by Ike way back in the day. Jerry says, be at least some fit. No government is this incompetent. They're not incompetent. They're not losing control, and they're not panicking. The game is playing like a pristine harp. It's us that are not playing along with that we're playing along with the garbage. It's us that's making this tune. We're dancing this dance. We're acting this script. Uni says Brown, one eye symbolism, sacrificed his own child. He did, so did Cameron. Yes, they did indeed. Jerry says placed all his gig in trust and converted. Then that Blur fella. Who did that? Jerry. Lewis says hello, Sean. Hello, Lewis. Hunted said coffee, not cabbage. Yes, plenty of coffee. Although they shut when I went tonight, I was a bit pissed off. They shut early, but I know they just want to get away, don't they? It's holidays, so. Lewis says, what do you think about Kate's diagnosis with the big C? Well, it's just trying to keep you all. What are they coming up with now? The old thing's died, they've come up with another. It's just garbage. It's garbage. We've had a little insight into what may be going on in that household. Shaggy Bill, Kingston were murdered, clearly. Kingston were going out with Pippa before William and, from what I can gather, Pippa and Kate and Kingston were busy mates. So if Kate's having some problems, where's she going to go? Yeah, Shaggy Bill looks like he's a bit of a shithead. But also I've found a piece about both William and Ginger Nuts were replaced. And I've got an image for suggesting the real Harry meeting the fake Harry. And then as the real Harry got older, he announced himself and then were murdered. But also there's a take that William is a fake. It's not the real William, which, if you're a Charlie boy, your missus has been banging King Juan Carlos of Spain, the King of Jerusalem, would you want any of his and theirs offspring? But then that's not how it really works in the game. You do what you're told. So I don't know. I've got my point across with all that, and which is you can't trust that institution anymore. Not that you ever could, but you really can't trust anything because it's now just being used as a propaganda shot, as it's always been. But you know, people didn't see it before. Now we can see it, and people really need to see it. Look for their angle. Whatever they're pumping out, look for their angle. They're obsessed with your mental health, your kids' mental health. They're obsessed with your kids. See it. You know, that's their game. Right. Where are we? What do you think about that? David says biodiesel. That's what they're doing. No grub. Well, this is what they've been doing here for a long, long time, since the 70s. Just getting more and more subsidies. Running around in the Rolls Royces. But again, I mean, there were a lot of farmers here, like Lake District, all over the country. Foot and mouth. And that last one that they did, what were it? I can't remember what it were. They slaughtered all the cows and bankrupted all the farmers, the small holdings in the Lake District, and the elite tossers bought the entire Lake District. That's what happened. It happened in Yorkshire, across the country, all the small holdings, which is what fed us in our local shops, were annihilated with foot and mouth, and the other one that they did not that long ago, while killing all the cattle and pulling in these new breeds where everybody's having bad responses to the milk that these new breeds are creating. Jerry says, I heard farmers in England been saying 80% of farmland implantable. Yeah, well, that's what Craig said, due to waterlogging. So the gig has started. Bullshit. This place has always been wet and it drains off very, very quickly because it's always been wet. Do you know what I'm saying? You can get as wet as you want to. You're not going to get massive landslides from the natural nature. You'll get it from where they've been putting pit stuff and quarries and that. But it's been raining here for so many centuries. The drain off's quick. So that's bullshit. It's bullshit again, but like Craig says, that's their excuse. They can make diesel out of waste plastic, yes, but that gets collected, sent to a place here in where is it? I was working outside of it when it all kicked off, this recycling. I was working at Hall's factory where they made all sweets. And next to that were the plastic recycle. I can't think of its name. I might think of it. It's not that far away from where I am. And I went in and asked him what crack were. He said, no, we pack it up and it goes to China. On a boat to China, so that's diesel. And then they burn it. Come on, how thick are people, eh? Oh, I'm recycling. I picked my dog shit up. Well, you're paying council to do all that, with love, you know. David says, we use consent on the FRB, pig's pish, non-corrosive. On the FRB. So FRB I don't get. I mean, I remember when we were at school, all our dinners from school went to pig farms, for pigs. And our food was pretty decent back then, so I don't think the people were suffering from that, were they? But now they're all animals are fed processed shit and then vaccinated up to eyeballs. John says, good vid. Thanks, John. Cheds1 says, evening, Sheds. 60 people in Derby today took back the house from security today. About 40 police turned up. Only one guy got done for assault on security. Good result for the people on Channel called Derby. Put private on your gate. You've removed the implied right of access straight away. If anybody comes on, give them a warning. You can't assault somebody on your land when you've removed the implied right of access. Put the word private on your gate. That removes it. If they come on your land and you haven't got it, tell them straight away, first thing you do, you're removing their implied right of access, get off. Because I'm going to trespass you. You can't get done for assault then. It's impossible. BSE, that's the one. Yeah, that was the first one, weren't it, BSE? And then it was foot and mouth, yeah, sorry. So good for that. This is what we need to do. We all need to start helping each other. It doesn't matter whether you're white, Muslim, black. We have to help each other. We have to. Otherwise, these bastards, just on the division that they're creating, are going to succeed. Jerry Sullivan, exactly, Sean, on the farmland stuff, just excuses, absolutely. And we have to be aware of that. And keep our eyes out. Because if we start to see that the farmers know it, then we have to see the farmers different. Because they're on our land. They're only on that land as tenants, not theirs. All farms have land drainage installed yet, so it's impossible to be waterlogged. They're full of shit, they're lying. Okay, they're lying. David says, Fourth Road Bridge, Sean. Is that the other one that we've done? And then the big port in Turkey, yeah. So, keep your eyes on this, people. Keep your eyes on it and don't let them bedazzle you that farmers are doing something good. It's not to say all the farmers are, and a lot of farmers are still growing. But I have an interesting story. A young lad, his mother has a farm. He's been doing eggs. He's only 10. And he's been selling eggs. And he said to his mum, I need more chickens, mum. I haven't got enough eggs. He's selling eggs like you wouldn't believe. He's 10-year-old. Said to his mum, Mum, I need a shop. He's 10. So this guy's getting right into it. He got a letter off the government a couple of weeks ago saying, oh, can't do that. Right? Why are they doing what the government says? Because they're in contract with them. As tenants. Because they're all only second right land tenants, first right held with the king. But it's your land right, remember. Every one of us have 7 acres the minute we're born here. It's only people that are born here, not all these that are coming over here and we're paying for them. And that's another thing that people want to start to reckon with. If you're not born here, you're not getting a penny. Simple as that. That's how it works. It's called good sense finance. And then we that are here and live here and have been born here can get cracking on and make it right again. Right, so we're an hour in and I've still been yammering, so we haven't even done out yet. So we'll just have a quick whiz through some of this stuff. But this is what we're up against, folks. So when we're looking at Ukraine, Jewish Chabad in 1994 plans to liquidate Slavs via Russia-Ukraine war. In a 1994 speech published in a Vologda newspaper, Slavyavanin, Chabad leader Rabbi Schneerson outlined plans for destroying Ukraine and Russia. A bad leader, Messiah Menachem Mendel Schneerson, born 1902, died 1994, said, Slavs, and among them Russians, are the most unbending people in the world. Slavs are unbending as a result of their psychological and intellectual abilities, created by many generations of ancestors. It is impossible to alter these genes. Slavs can be destroyed but never conquered. We will divide Slavic nations into small countries with weak connections. We will use our old method, divide and conquer, pit these countries against each other and suck them into civil wars for mutual destruction. And of course, the destruction of Yugoslavia in the 90s was the commencement of that agenda. Billy Boy Clinton. Ukrainians would think they are fighting against expansionist Russia. Struggling for independence, Ukrainians will become fully subdued by us, meaning the Khazars. The same will be thought by Russians as though they defend their national interests. So Vlad Putin isn't working for Russians. These lands are ancient Jewish Khazaria, that is Israel. Slavs are temporary guests and subject to eviction. We will build the Greek Khazaria, the Jewish state, on these fertile lands, the same way as we created Israel. Squeezing Palestinians out, Israelis will partially relocate here, and we will drive Slavic cattle out. They're already relocating there, the wealthy. The Khazarian Empire existed for several centuries until Russian Prince Svyatoslav in the year 965 took both their city and their White Temple. NATO is Khazaria in drag, and that comes from Henry Mako. Who's a very interesting guy, if you're aware of him. He's very tapped into this stuff. Now, just before we come off this, I just want to point out that this is what they don't want at all costs, people. This is what they're shitting themselves of. At all costs. And that is this happening. Alright? Now we went through the Templars, did we not, last week? The Templars, the Christians, and the Muslims made a pact. Okay? They do not want that to show itself again, ever. Because if it does, we are too many in number at this point in time. Look at that image. We've been living amongst each other now since the 60s. In England, in Scotland, in Wales. And we've got on. We've got our differences. We do. But we've got on. And both our communities have flourished in that time, apart from, since the 80s, the destruction of it as a whole. That's what they don't want to happen. Here, in Europe, in the Middle East, in Africa, and in the US, Australia, anywhere. The people that are important everywhere are not the mindsets that would understand that. So these two forces fought each other and recognised each other's worth. Which is generally what happens, isn't it, when males fight each other. You have a mutual respect for each other. It doesn't work when it comes to this Talmudic system because it's subversive. Yeah, you can't respect something that's subversive. It's impossible. And a big chunk of Islam through the Hadiths and the Sirah believe that the Talmud, which is the subversive side of these things, belongs to them. And this is what's built this divide between us. Okay, that's the image they're terrified of coming to pass. Now, did I have something else in here? I did. Now, get this in your mind before we move forward on this. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how much landmass Genghis Khan took by force. China, enveloped. Tibet, Nepal, the entire Siberian mass to Turkey. all the old prophecies say that it will come through Turkey. It came through Turkey at the days of the Crusades. My guess is, and it is only a guess based on what I've studied, that the Crusades were forged once these agreements between the terrified European elites and Genghis's forces made a deal. And part of that deal was that Western Rome had to attack the Middle East. Because it's the one part he couldn't accomplish. He couldn't beat the Persians or the Greeks. Yeah, that's what he achieved, ladies and gentlemen. And I think a deal was done. Alright? So that's that. Now, just in a bit of support of what Eunice was speaking of. Suggesting that Obama ordered the Moscow attack. Now, that's looking absolutely dodgy as 10. It's looking like a false flag like you couldn't believe. I said last week that the one thing that stood out to me was the time lapse between the beginning of the fighting, the shooting, and the fact that 8 minutes later there was still not one siren and not one blue light. That doesn't happen in a city. And that I've seen videos since showing specific men in the arena all dressed in the same colour, blue top, same style, demarcating them as intel. And they were on walkie-talkies to each other throughout. Now there you got Putin, part of the same clique, wearing a Masonic blue dress. And there's his best buddy, the Bush. Putin is also embedded in the WEF and was and is a young global leader. Now, I don't think this is the same Putin that carried out the 1999 Chechnya attacks. He was a warrior. He was a soldier. This guy doesn't look like him to me. There's the original Putin on the right. And there's the Putin we've had for God knows how long. Putin the soldier, Putin the, what would you call him? A diplomat or what? I don't know. The ears say it all. The ear on the right, the centre, and the ear on the left is not the same. Your ears grow as you get older, but they don't change. They don't change. So the jury's out as far as what to make of that, to be truthful. Right, now we're going to have a look at this potential. So Oregon Adamantia, 185 AD to 235 AD. So this is the time of Marcion when the first canon was put together. The belief in the existence of a non-luminous star was prevalent in Grecian antiquity, especially in the early times of Christianity. It was assumed that among the fiery stars, which were nourished by vapours, there move other earthly bodies which remain invisible to us. So he's bringing forward what was Athenian knowledge, you know, the Greeks. And they believe that there were other bodies moving around in our system that you can't see because they're not luminous. But they show themselves when they block stars or they block systems and they block the sun and the moon, maybe. That's... I mean, you know, it could even be the body that actually moves across the moon and stops it showing. I don't know, but I've seen the moon as translucent as well, so I'm not so sure. But that's 185 to 253 AD, this fella. The time before Rome pulled together Gospels, the canon, but Marcion pulled together the first canon, using only Luke, and didn't include anything from the Torah. Now that's staying on a little bit long. Oh, that's why. Sorry, Charles. So I'm going to have to move that. Adamantius is called. Adamantius. Johann Henrik. Let me just get rid of my little ugly face. Lambert, 1728-1777, a Swiss Frenchman who made important contributions to the subjects of mathematics, physics, and he, in his cosmological letters, admits the existence of dark cosmical bodies of great size. S. Rowbotham, Zetetic Astronomy, 1881. Is this what they've been trying to cover with black holes? This idea of black holes, perhaps? Is it Nibiru? What are they actually doing? We had to send 1.5 billion to Ukraine. Of course we did! Of course we did! The Khazarians want their own back. And they want to kill the Slavs. The Yugoslavians, the Serbs, the Croats. You know, the Romanians, all these. Anyway. So it's staying on just a little bit too long. Let me just shorten that. Well, I don't have to do that. I can just knock that off. Sir John Frederick William Herschel, 1792-1871, an English astronomer, photographer and inventor of the blueprint. Sir John Herschel admits that invisible moons exist in the firmament. And again, that's from the same book from 1881. So this guy, S. Rowbotham, is citing these chaps. I've just found a new trick, guys. Samuel L. wrote, so this is the guy that wrote the book, English inventor and author who wrote Zetetic Astronomy, Earth Not a Globe, under the pseudonym Parallax. So if you've followed Jason, you'll have heard that word, parallax. In the report of the Council of the Royal Astronomical Society for June 1850, it is said we may well doubt whether that body which we call the moon is the only satellite of the Earth. In the report of the Academy of Sciences for October the 12th, 1846, and again for August 1847, the director of one of the French observatories gives a number of observations and calculations which have led him to conclude that there is at least one numerous body of considerable magnitude which is attached as a satellite to this Earth. Sir John Lubbock is of the same opinion and gives rules and formula for calculating their distances, periods, etc. By golly. And this is a picture somebody took of the sun with two bodies at the side of it. One just creeping at the back and one to its upper right. Now, I've seen a few of these before. But watching this guy, we did it with the filters showing that things. This one is probably the most profound or promising, you might say, as being real. Now, I've tried to take these images myself with the sun, but I haven't been able. It must be at a certain time when you can see this, obviously, when it's in a certain position. Suggesting then that the sun being there is making these luminous. But then we do know that China created a second sun, didn't they know? What they're up to? And if Rico Boss is right, what he's saying, that they're actually, a lot of what they're doing now is blocking out the sky so we can't see what they're doing, would make sense as well. I don't know. Now look at that. She's a fella. What's he up to? Shaggy Bill. And didn't she not do every single thing he wanted her to do if you look at what she actually did in New Zealand as in politics? Nobody could have bent over more than that. Strange critter. What you reckon? And then we've got this Lady Rose Hambury. Who be that? Prince William and Princess Kate in 2016. He's looking sheepish. Not happy. He's banging the living shit out of that one, isn't he? And has been for a long time. A bit like Charlie Boy with Camilla. The one who seems to be running the whole fucking show now. Runs the Queen. And this is real Eric meets imposter Eric, Grand Prix 1994. Right? Little one's the real one. The bigger one's the one that's going to take it over. And that Spencer Churchill piece of shit doesn't seem to be giving a toss, does it? She ain't dead. Now this, look at Charlie. For all his life, he's had a slit in his chin. This freak with fat fingers, strange lips, doesn't. He doesn't. Now, I've always felt sorry for Charles because he's been abused that much when he was younger. It was unbelievable. So in the King Charles has the big C, Ferguson has the big C, Middleton has the big C. What's really going on? Something going on. Fergie's, oh my breast. Oh, you poor breast, Fergie. And that's the reason why I didn't go to King Constantine of Greece this morning. Nothing to do with Kingston's being killed. No, but he never went to hospital once. Somebody clocked all the visits that were at the hospital. Everybody went, King went, Camilla went. He didn't go. And this is just strange, you know. The stripes on a jumper continue on the bench. That doesn't happen, does it? The lats on the bench, bigger here on the left to the or on the right, and not a single daffodil moved for the entire 2 minutes. And the ring kept disappearing. Now, they're doing this on purpose, is my opinion. Because they just know everybody out there is completely tapped. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to believe. They want to believe, if you get my drift. Yeah. Is it the same person? This mole kept disappearing, didn't exist on here. And then they came back with a freshen of the old, of this one, on the right with a mole on. No. She's a beautiful woman. On the left. A beautiful woman. No matter which way she looks, what she's doing, what she's got on. She's a beautiful bird. And they're under enormous stress. Leave them alone. They're saying, well, okay. You're up there agitating being king of fucking wanting to be king of England, pal. We won't leave you alone at all. Who do you think you are? Public eye, you want to run the game? You'll do as you're told, son. And interesting, Her Royal Highness Princess Alexandria of Hanover has been kicked out because she's converted to the Catholic Church. Now, if she's converted to the Catholic religion, I can understand that. But if she's converted and wants to be under Vatican, it wouldn't make sense because it's all under the Vatican system now anyway. And tech companies have been urged to act on Princess of Wales conspiracy theorists. We'll stop putting out stupid fucking pictures and images and scripts. And then maybe we'll leave them alone. But why would we leave them alone? These people are powerful, rich people on the back of us. So something's going on with that one and I don't know what to make of that. Here it is, Garraway, the new script gig, they want to play out here. He's making a new activity that will follow the final year of her husband Derek's life after he lost his life. Alright. So we're making a drama out of it. Okay. There were thousands of other people had this same problem. But hang on a minute. This one's special. Kate Garraway, I have huge debts from husband's care. Well, why didn't you go NHS like everybody else, darling? Why not? So there you go. We now have to pay for her the fact you went private and it didn't work anyway. Now she's cracking. She wants cash. Give us your cash. Plot to crown Penny Mordaunt as PM. Tory MPs on right have held secret tours. No way. Cameron's coming back. Cameron and Osborne are on the way back, believe me. With moderates about replacing Rishi Sunak with leader of the House. No, Cameron's coming back with Osborne. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you now that's what's going to happen. And Dragonfire, new footage of 10 Panda shot laser weapon that could be in UK military within 5 years. Well, that's scary if you consider we're potentially going to be the targets. So, 10 Panda shot, well, I'll have one of them. Give me one of them, we'll shoot down these chemtrail jobs in no time. Sadiq Khan, Mayor of London. Did you know he was the consultant lawyer for the captured 9/11 Al-Qaeda terrorist Zakaria Moussaoui? But of course we know that he wasn't a 9/11 terrorist. It were all a big load of shit. But that little shit, Muslim Brotherhood member, were involved. London Muslim Mayor when he worked for Nation of Islam. This is seriously damaging for Labour, so please don't share it. There he is. doing everything he can to make a massive division in London. And people think that's happening all over the country. It isn't. It's just happening in London, which is a shithole. 117 million more to protect mosques. Who's protecting me? I want to know. Jews have got a load of millions. Now these guys have got millions. Where's mine? I want protecting now. You know, how pathetic. It's just division. Cement that division. Get that division going. 24 households have been ordered to leave homes rented from the MOD at Enlow camp beds next to former RAF base. Furious families told to quit their homes as migrants move into UK village. That's not going to go down right well, is it? With anybody. Never mind them that are being kicked out. And British countryside can evoke dark nationalist feelings in paintings, Warren's Museum. Cambridge University's Fitzwilliam Institution overhauls displays with visitors informed that landscape images can stir dark emotions of nationalism. How interesting is that, Malarkey? Oh, here it is, the little shit ass. The Indian. Maypole dancing is an example of countryside racism and a ritual of white supremacy. So they're not happy with nicking all towns and cities, they want the country. Well, I say, okay, you can have your towns and cities, lads, because we don't want them. But you're not having the countryside. Keir Starmer calls for more houses to be built for asylum seekers and illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants. He didn't even say it. These migrants have to be the priority for the government. They are the future of our economy, he said. Starmer calls for much better asylum processing. Illegal. He wants to house illegals with my money. George Galloway, best mate, Jimmy the dead shagging Savile. He's trending because blue tick shields push political theatre on the left side and conservative followers. Won't tell you that all politicians, media figures, famous people are all wealthy Freemasons. UK, he's accusing us now of being involved in the Moscow terror attack, even though we know it's false flag. This guy's a proper shithouse, I've told you. Lawrence of Rochdale. Covering all the importation of the Taliban into Bradford. Killed all the drug dealers, which were Muslims, and opened the doors to heroin from Afghanistan, putting their own in. And now he wants to be Lawrence of Manchester. He wants to challenge Andy Burnham for Greater Manchester Mayor, depending on Muslims. Muslims, if you back this fella, you're not even retarded. You're an amoeba. And you shouldn't be here. Call me conspiracy, but this somehow is the same policeman. Oh, because Tommy the Tick got arrested twice, didn't it? November and March. And it's just, happens to be the same copper. Theatre, people. Mossad, 3rd degree Master Mason, lives in Tenerife. But's telling you to kick off. Young people who turn down several jobs should be conscripted for 2 years, a senior Conservative MP has said. Find out more. Okay, so there you go. The Cabinet, the Privy Council wants your offspring. And y'all need some lessons in Kabbalah mysticism. This is in 23, where politicians now are being taught Kabbalah. And we've talked about this before, but honestly, it's just, you know, the old bitches. The old bitches. Now, that's incorrect, okay? I just wanted to put this out because that's more in sync with his Indian religion, because it's only a single strand is the Kabbalah. So that, don't suck into this one with Rishi Sunak. He's not wearing a Kabbalah string. Alright? So I wanted to include that because don't let him fool you with that one. British MP David Lammy 2023 claimed Palestinians rape babies. 1 month after spreading this Hezbollah propaganda, Lammy received 70 grand from the Israel lobbyist Gary Lubner. So there we go. Even our black compadres are sucking into this garbage. And bacon, or is it? Aldi's customers' store brand bacon is not from pig, it's from a growing cell. Appleton Meats, it's a privately funded company exploring multiple cellular agricultural methods for growing ground beef. And I have a funny feeling this live stream is going to be another long one. Now, Russia blames Britain is responsible for the Moscow terror attacks, even though it was a false flag. Okay? Can you see the gig? That's going to excite the old school. Oh! We get our grandchildren to conscription. Get our grandchildren to war. No, sort off. Anti-ULEZ protesters are good one. They're hanging protective back boxes on the camera poles, so they can't be fixed. You can't go up the pole there to fix them. Well, I think that's an absolutely spiffing blag they've got going on there, and I think it's pretty clever, that. So well done, you southern pufters. Nowadays, socialism is more often dressed up as environmentalism, feminism, or international concern for human rights, says Maggie. All sound good in the abstract, but scratch the surface and you'll as likely as not discover anti-capitalism, patronising and distorting quotas, and intrusions upon the sovereignty and democracy of nations. New slogans, old errors, she said. And here we go, just another cement that Mandy, Prince Andrew's best mate, and Jacob Rothschild's little schley were busy mates with the old Jeffrey Epstein. So, again, just another little image for you there. And back we go to the bacon, which I think I've probably put 2 images of that in, so never mind that. Is that the end of that, Malarkey? Let me just have a look. No, it's not. We've got one more image, which have I removed that? Because I've learnt some trick now. I've learnt a trick! Can't get away. No, I've done that as well. Oh, alright then. I thought I'd learnt a trick, but it's gone back to the beginning. Never mind that, Malarkey. World news. Don't forget, chaps, September the 10th, 2001, Donald Rumsfeld holds a press conference to state that the Pentagon was missing 2.3 trillion. And the next day something happened and everybody forgot. Yep. So they told you. They told us all. Building 7 had all the data from the 80s. Jewish billionaire Gilbert Bigio is being accused of orchestrating the destruction of Haiti. The arms trafficking Haitian billionaire is backed by Israel and has financed gangs in the country. Well, he might be backed by Israel, but he'll have another Holy See family behind it. Stop blaming Israel for everything. Trudeau demands life in prison for speech crimes. Shocking crackdown by Canada's Justin Castro seeks incarceration for crimes that haven't been committed. And he's proposing this at the G20. Because, of course, he's a fruit bat. And Macron threatens Putin. We have negotiated as much as we could. But with Putin, there's nothing left to talk about. Ukraine must win. There will be no red lines for France. I am the president of France. And therefore, I decide. And he runs off to shag his boyfriend, who's his wife, that he's been with since he was 14 because it was his teacher. And Emmanuel Macron tells Putin, we are a nuclear power and we are ready, as he responds to Russian leaders' threats about using nukes. This tin pot Napoleon needs to get back in his box, says somebody. So there you go. You were nuclear power. And then he runs off back again to go and cry into the arms of his boyfriend, who's also his wife. And there you go, folks. Lepict Murder's wife is being exposed as a transsexual and a paedophile. She's not a paedophile. He was 14. A paedophile is somebody who's attracted to prepubescent children. Can we at least get the English language back on the table? He's what would they call him? An ebophile, they call him. Russian Orthodox priests consecrate the new T-90 tanks to kill Ukrainians. So Jesus is on board now. Jesus is sanctifying the tanks. On with Christian soldiers and all that malarkey. Evangelicals will understand that well because they believe the Christian soldiers, but I can't find anywhere where Jesus mentioned let's all be soldiers. And France must be wiped off the face of the earth, says Vlad the Impaler, and shows you a big rocket there. It's probably just a firework that doesn't work anymore because they probably built them in the 70s. But they do like to pretend and keep everybody shatting themselves. And possible sea confrontation between Russia and NATO. Russian Pacific Fleet has entered the Red Sea, making its way to the coast of the Yemen, where multiple American and British ships carry out strikes against the Houthis. Well, they look a bit better than ours. They look brand new. We're still on rowing boats. And the island of Australia, it's a fucking big island, has proposed a new law to ban all Russians from entering the country. But have just signed a deal to import something like 25 million Indians. So Australians get ready for that. And countries that were invaded by the Soviet Union, bear in mind. Yeah, like I said before, the World War II was just an expansion of the Bolshevik system in the Soviet system. This is Genghis Khan gig, moving ever more over Europe. And Ursula von der Leyen is asking Finland to prepare for war. Meanwhile, during an interview, Ursula is asked, "Are your own children in the military?" She said, "No." Ha ha ha. Do as I say. And not as I do, because she loves the little flea bags. But she fucking hates yours, because she believes you hate yours, because you're not bringing them up properly. And this is a man in the limelight today, the Diddy. Taking the rap for somebody much higher, I would presume. Busy mates with the Super Prince or Bummer. Another shagger of the male. So who's the... I just want to know who these kids are that they keep floating around. New York rabbi arrested for selling thousands of foreskins on Craigslist. Well, I don't know why he did that, because they mainly sell them to makeup industry, because that's what all these girlies are having shoved in their lips. Is foreskins. And, hi, we're building a world tyranny where everyone will be our slaves with no rights, property, or privacy. Seems that most of you think you're okay with that. So thanks. And of course, we've got Trial Arts Commission, Jesuits, we've got the World Economic Forum, City of London, but the big one, Chatham House, which is what we're going to look at. Alright. I need a pee, guys, so just before I put this together, just have another listen and reminder of what we're dealing with. Alright? And then I'm back and we're going to go through this document.
What do you see as the biggest challenges in conservation?
The growing human population. Because where we are, there's nothing else.
And do you have views about what should be done about that?
Can't you guess? Can't you guess? Can't you guess? Can't you guess? Can't you guess?
What is at stake is more than one small country. It is a big idea, a new world order.
Got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running. You ready? You ready? You got me running, you got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running.
I've come to this house of the people to speak to you and all Americans.
Got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running. You got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running.
Where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause to achieve the universal aspirations of mankind, peace and security, freedom, and the rule of law.
Got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running. You ready? You ready? You got me running, you got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running.
Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil.
You ready? You ready? got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running.
Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Calling all the shots and I don't need nobody's permission. My own decisions, I don't want no opinions. Calling all the shots and I don't need nobody's permission. My own decisions, I don't want no opinions. Calling all the shots and I don't need nobody's permission. My own decisions, I don't want no opinions. Calling all the shots and I don't need nobody's permission.
Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. You got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. You got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running.
My own decisions, I don't want no opinions. Calling all the shots and I don't need nobody's permission.
Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. You got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. You got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. You got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running.
My own decisions, I don't want no opinions. Calling all the shots and I don't need nobody's permission.
Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. You got me running, got me running, got me running, got me running.
My own decisions, I don't want no opinions. Calling all the shots and I don't need nobody's permission.
So that's one bunch. I'm Johnny Come Latelys. But that beginning part, Prince Philip, I mean, that is what they're doing, folks. As long as we all stay on different sides, that's exactly what's going to happen. Descended from Maria de Medici. Now, let's have a look. The House of Paleologo ran Roman Byzantine Empire after the Comnene. The Comnene were actually Jewish people, I'd say probably real ones. And they were taken over pretty much by this bunch, amongst others. The Venetians set them up and basically destroyed it. The House of Paleologos, female version Paleologina, also found in English language literature as Paleologos or Paleologu, was a Byzantine Greek noble family that rose to power and produced the last and longest ruling dynasty in the history of the Byzantine Empire. Now, it says Greek. I don't believe they are Greek. Okay, I think they're Turkic. Their rulers, emperors and autocrats of the Romans lasted almost 200 years, from 1259 to the fall of Constantinople in 1453, because they ensured it was that way. The origins of the family are unclear. Their own medieval origin ascribes them to an ancient, prestigious origin in Roman Italy, descending from some of the Romans, but this is bullshit, that had accompanied Constantine the Great to Constantinople upon its foundation in 330. It is more likely that they originated significantly later in Anatolia, which is Turkey. Okay, so it's the full of shit. Since the earliest known member of the family, possibly its founder, Nikephoros Paleologos, served as commander there in the second half of the 11th century. Over the course of the 12th century, the Paleologii were mostly part of the military aristocracy, not recorded as occupying any administrative political offices, and they frequently intermarried with the then ruling Komnenos or Comnene family, increasing their prestige. So military. Genghis, I would suggest. When Constantinople fell to the Fourth Crusade in 1204, the Paleologi fled to the Empire of Nicaea, a Byzantine successor state ruled by the Lascaris family, where they continued to play an active role and occupied many offices of rank. Altogether, therefore, various Paleologo descendants in fact enjoy between them at least 11 titles, or an impressive 35% of the complement of 31 titles that were finally admitted by the British in 1878 to 1883 as titles extant during the government of the Order of St. John, 1530 to 1798. It appears that the latter 31 to 32 titles of nobility are under the control of the Committee of Privileges of the Maltese nobility. All of them are descended from Henrietta Anne of England, whose grandmother was Mary de Medici. So this is after, okay, after the fall of Byzantine. They're all related. Now her descendants include King Juan Carlos of Spain, Henry Grand Duke of Luxembourg and Franz Duke of Bavaria, Infanta Alicia of Spain and Prince Alexander of Saxe-Cossachy, among many others. Charles Calvert was born in England on the 29th September 1699, the eldest son of Benedict Calvert, 4th Baron Baltimore, and Charlotte Lee, Lady Baltimore. His grandmother, Charlotte Lee, Countess of Lichfield, was the illegitimate daughter of Charles II. Now, Charles II were a right shagger. So many of our aristocracy today are directly connected to the bastard lines of Charles II. And this was by his mistress, Barbara Palmer, 1st Duchess of Cleveland. Eleanor Calvert, who married John Parke Custis, stepson of George Washington, is descended from Marie de Medici. Calvert was born in 1758 at the Calvert family's Mount Erie plantation near Upper Marlborough in Prince Georgetown, County, Maryland. Eleanor was the second eldest daughter of Benedict Swingate Calvert, illegitimate son of Charles Calvert, 5th Baron Baltimore, and Benedict's wife, Elizabeth Calvert Butler. She was known to her family as Nellie. Mitford sisters, I've mentioned these before. Sisters are also related to Charles II and to the Medici. One of them married Duke of Cavendish, and so far every Cavendish is a Knight of the Garter and were the shareholders of the Bank of England. Oh, it's a little bit smaller. So there we go through the Nancy's. I've said this is how they do it through the females, you know, marrying in, but making sure the offspring move ever more to this dark side. So there's a few Mitfords: Nancy, Pamela, Thomas, Diana, Mosley. So these guys were tied into Sir Oswald Mosley. When I look back into my grandfather's side, they were fascists and they were supporting, financing him through the Jesuits. They were Unity Mitford, Jessica Decker Mitford, Deborah Debo Mitford. Okay, so that's just an insight to them. Maria de Medici, married on December the 17th, 1600. The Medici bankers, creditors of the King of France, promised a dowry of 600,000 shields of gold, which made Maria nicknamed the Great Banker. At today's price, counting inflation, Maria de Medici at a wedding in 1600 received the equivalent of 2,450,000,000 euros. I think that's 2 billion. And there she is in all the glory. What a ugly trollop. Look, there she is with the cube. The cross as the cube. Yeah, see it? You'll never unsee that again now, will you? But she's wearing the fleur de lis, which again is a major Farnese symbol. Farnese are far bigger than people give them credit for, in my opinion. Richard Scott, 10th Duke of Buccleuch, descended from Charles II's son James Croft with Lucy Walter, holds the Dukedom of Queensberry. This title was awarded to James Scott's grandson, the 3rd Duke of Buccleuch. Can't do Scottish. James Crofts, later to become Scott, 1649-1685, created the Duke of Monmouth in Wales and Duke of Buccleuch in Scotland. Lucy Walter had a daughter, Mary Crofts, born after James, but Charles II was not the father. The Scott family is descended from Marie de Medici. There he is. Prince Richard of Gloucester is related to James Scott, son of Charles II, which further can be traced back to the Medicis. There we have. Obviously, I'll put this up under the video for you after. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. There we go. Charles Francis Topham de Vere Beauclerk, born 22nd of February 65, also starred Earl of Beaufort. By courtesy, is a British aristocrat and heir to the peerage title Duke of St Albans. His lineage can be traced back to Charles II, whose grandmother was Maria de Medici. Boom, boom. Dukes of St Albans. There they are. Sarah Duchess of York, wife of Prince Andrew, is related to James Crofts, an illegitimate son of Charles II. Princess Diana and the Spencer lineage can be traced back to Isabella Fitzroy, descended from illegitimate son of Charles II, whose grandmother was Marie de Medici. However, there has been much speculation that her father was Goldsmith. Whereas James Goldsmith is said to be the father of Diana, potentially, because she did look like his daughters, and she were around him a lot. In such deceptions, the elites are able to satisfy the afforded ancestry while placing their own breed of subversive. This takes us back to the name stealers, who we know existed from accounts in both Europe and China. There are also claims that Diana was in fact a male, which by today's revelations about many lower grade leaders has teeth, and it does look like a fella, that, doesn't it? Let's be honest, good God, a fella with tits. Don't she look like a fella there? Unbelievable. And I'm not suggesting that she were, I have no idea. The accepted lines of Princess Diana Spencer, Charles Francis Topham de Vere Beauclerk, Earl of Beaufort, courtesy as British aristocrat, heir to the peerage title, blah blah blah. So there is. So this is a bastard line, of course. Fitzroy's. Anything with Fitz in. There it goes. Boom, boom, boom. Elizabeth II in there. Harry, the Ginger Prince, and William, Billy the Shagger. Okay. Or are they? Are we on fake ups? Bertrand Russell was descended from Charles Lennox, a son of Charles II, whose grandmother was Maria de Medici. The Russells descend from Maria de Medici and include Charles Taze Russell, the founder of the Jehovah's Witnesses, and his grandfather created Chapter 322, Skull and Bones at Yale. Bertrand Russell groomed the entire CCP leadership, including Mao Zedong. So Annie Lennox, yeah, you know you all loved her in the 80s. Oh, screaming bitch. She's royalty. Again, there they go. Bum bum. Bertrand Russell there, see. Very potent player in this game. He was indeed. Also related to James II and his grandmother Henrietta Stanley Dillon, oldest descendant of Charles II through his Mrs. Barbara Palmer Villiers. Darnley, Annalise Phipps, Dillon, Stanley. Stanleys are in there, Bertrand Russell. German chapter of the Order of Death. Members include George H. Bush, George W. Bush, and the star of today's climate show, John Kerry, and his daughter. Westminster terror attack 2017 happened March 22nd. Yeah, well, we went through that before, haven't we? So we don't need to. Duke of Bedford, Andrew 15th. Who's this fella? 10 years, 2003. Titled Dukes of Bedford, born 30th March. Other titles: 15th Marquis of Tavistock. He got a funny face there a bit. 19th Earl of Bedford, 19th Baron Russell, 17th Baron Russell of Thornhoe, 15th Baron Holland. So this guy is going to be massively involved in Jehovah's Witnesses elite. Henry Russell, Marquis of Tavistock, issue Lady Alexandra Louise Claire Russell, Henry Robin Charles Russell. They do like the long names. Spouse Louise Rona Cramond. Parents Robin Russell, 14th Duke of Bedford, Henrietta Dowager Duchess of Bedford. Children Henry Robin Charles Russell, Marquis of Tavistock, Alexandra Lucy Clare. Siblings James Edward Urban Russell, Robin Lowell Hastings Russell. Similar David Bennett Barrister, Simon Cadell, Giles Curran. Andrew Ian Henry Russell, blah 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 blah. Yep. Tavistock Institute, Chatham House, Roundtable Network. This is a runs everything, you know, folks. Tavistock, the supreme mind control operation spread across the globe in the universities and throughout the religious offshoots of the Puritan mindset, the backdrop to the Royal Society and the Frankfurt School, centred in London at Adelphi House. Patrilineal descent. We don't need to. We can just boom, 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 boom. Gramsci. Okay, 1918, 1928. Through education and culture, we will make the revolution. In addition, he said, the only way we have to give us the power as communists, that's not what Marx did. We must infiltrate the society, infiltrate us into the church, infiltrating into the community, educational, slowly, and go transforming and ridiculing the traditions that have been maintained historically in order to go destroying them and forming the society we want. Antonio Gramsci, founder in Italy 1920 of the communism, in his letters written in prison. Scientific Outlook, Bertrand Russell, 1933, just to give you an insight what this fruit bat's about. To those who control publicly, credulity is an advantage, while to the individual a power of critical judgment is likely to be beneficial. This is on behaviourism. Consequently, the state does not aim at producing the scientific habit of mind, except in a small minority of experts. Experts, yeah. Oh, we just did what the experts said. We heard that quite a bit lately. Who are well paid and therefore, as a rule, supporters of the status quo. Among those who are not well paid, credulity is more advantageous to the state. Consequently, children in school are taught what they are told and are punished if they express disbelief. In this way, a conditioned reflex is established, leading to a belief in anything said authoritatively by elderly persons of importance. You and I, reader, or our immunity from spoliation to this beneficent precaution in the part of our respective governments. You see, this is why I'm like I am. I told every teacher, ed, no matter what they were doing to me, to go fuck themselves. Yeah, kiss my ass was my message to them fruit bats. And that's why, of course, I'm so fantastic and amazing today. In like manner, the scientific rules will provide one kind of education for ordinary men and women, and another for those who are to become holders of scientific power. Ordinary men and women will be expected to be docile, industrious, punctual, thoughtless, and contented. Of these qualities, probably contentment will be considered the most important. In order to produce it, all the researches of psychoanalysis, behaviorism, and biochemistry will be brought into play. Almost all will be normal, happy, healthy boys or girls. Their diet will not be left to the caprices of parents, but will be such as the best biochemists recommend. They will spend much time in the open air and will be given no more book learning than is absolutely necessary. Upon the temperament so formed, docility will be imposed by the methods of the drill sergeant, or perhaps by the softer methods employed upon Boy Scouts. All the boys and girls will learn from an early age to be what is called cooperative, i.e. to do exactly what everybody is doing. Initiative will be discouraged in these children, and insubordination without being punished will be scientifically trained out. Well, it didn't fucking work with me, you bunch of shitheads. I'm so glad I'm me, honestly. Camilla Shand's lineage, the wife of Charles III, can be traced back to Anne Lennox, which further can be traced back to an illegitimate son of Charles II, whose grandmother was Marie de Medici. There we go again with the Lennox. And there it goes. Camilla, the one who calls itself Queen. I'm sure I remember when Charles, when they were kids, saying, I will make you Queen, my darling. Well, somebody has. It's all about a queen, Queen Camilla. The Medici rule supreme on England's land. Well, do they? Because the Palavicini, which we'll look at next week. Charles Henry Gordon Lennox is descended from Charles Lennox, an illegitimate son of Charles II, whose grandmother was Marie de Medici. Thus his lineage can be traced back to the Medicis. Charles Henry Gordon, 11th Duke of Richmond, Duke of Lennox, 11th Duke of Albany, and 6th Duke of Gordon, hiding his little medal. What they got that for? Prince Cosimo de Medici is the son of Prince Ottaviano de Medici di Toscana di Ottaviano. He currently lives in London and is one of the most powerful men in the world. I put man. His family heads the Crown Temple. Interesting. Not sure that it's absolutely correct, but the Crown is the second HQ of the Roman Empire since 1185, and equally important in stature to the Vatican State. The Crown is also the world's HQ of the Order of the Temple, but as we've known and seen last week, these Knights Templars are not what the original English Knights Templars were. They were Christian. These bunch of fruit bats are Talmudists. All land in the world today is owned by the Crown, established 1185 as decreed by its own Roman laws since the 12th century, and not the monarch. The city is the Crown Corporation of London, established 1191, and was created and is owned by the Crown, which controls it fully via the Crown's liveries. So the liveries, actually the 12, control the corporations, and the Mir is the 12 and the 1. The hidden royalty. Alvarado de Medici. There we go. All the way down through these boys. So this fella. Ottaviano. Okay. That's going to need some further investigation, I say. What is the Crown? There's no single agreed definition of the Crown, as legal scholars Maurice Sunkin and Sebastian Payne have argued. The nature of the Crown has been taken for granted, in part because it is so fundamental, and in part because many academics have no idea what the term Crown amounts to. Nicholas Brown Wilkinson KC concluded that the Crown was an amorphous, abstract concept, and therefore impossible to define. The legal historian F.W. Maitland warned his students that they would certainly read that the Crown does, and that the Crown does that. Sorry, the Crown does this, the Crown does that. As a matter of fact, we know that the Crown does nothing but lie in the Tower of London, to be gazed at by sightseers. The Crown is a convenient cover for ignorance. It saves us from asking difficult questions. Do not be content until you know who legally has the power. Is it the King? Is it one of his secretaries? Is this power a prerogative power, or is it the outcome of statutes? Most significant of the Medici families currently are the Medici Tornaquinci and the Medici di Ottaviano. One of the most notable of them is Prince Ottaviano de Medici, living in Florence, Italy. He has been the Grand Duke of Tuscany, a sovereign entity without territory, since 2017. Currently divorced, Ottaviano has 3 children, Cosimo, Lorenzo and Guglielmo. He is founder and president of the International Medicinal Association for the Protection of Arts, Sciences and Letters. He is also a co-founder of Save Florence, an initiative intended to protect the cultural heritage of the city that the Medicis have called home for centuries. And there he is. Looks like Mad Hatter, doesn't he? Yeah, the art. The Medici family, Italy. We don't need to go through that because we've got quite a bit to go through here, chaps. So I do apologise. It's going to be another long one. Lorenzo de Medici, descendants of the famed Renaissance era Italian banking family in Puerto Rico. Opened a bank in Puerto Rico, this one. Rizona. Cryptocurrency they're into here. So Lorenzo de Medici founded the bank alongside Ed Boyle, who was previously managing director of Americas at Fedor Bank and vice president and general manager of American Express, and a prepaid card business before that. So Ed Boyle and Lorenzo, you've got the Florin Coin, Coin Desk, International Financial Entity, Puerto Rico's Office of the Commission of Financial Institutions, Federal Deposit Insurance, Medici Bank of Florence, Bank of England. Maria de Medici was the grandmother of William III, who founded the Bank of England. The scam is the year 1694, when William Morris and later William III of England asked for help from a group of Dutch moneylenders whose patron was a certain William Peterson. The loan was for £1,200,000 in gold, which would have to be repaid with 6% interest. So there you go. Bank of England did finance shape slavery. Bank was owned by private shareholders who were often city businessmen deeply involved in slave trade. To become a director of the governor of the Bank of England, you have to own a large amount of bank stock, 4,000 for a governor, for example, blah, 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 blah. Clients included those at the forefront of Britain's colonial expansion and its part in the slave trade, such as the East India Company, the Royal African Company, and the South Sea Company. The bank also provided loans to the British government, underwriting expensive colonial wars that expanded British Empire and trade routes. Britain became more dominant in the slave trade and sugar trade. Well, 78% of all the slave owners in America were Jewish. I can show that. Crown Temple today, the workings of the Crown Temple in this day and age is more so obvious, yet somewhat hidden. The Crown Templars have many names and many symbols to signify the private unholy temple. It's not the original Templars, boys and girls, as we looked at last week, is it? So when the American Crown Colonies became the chartered government called the United States, thanks to the Declaration of Independence. Not so much to celebrate that, really, is it? And there we go, 13 chartered colony states and the Eye of Osiris, one of many Templar signs used. The Temple Illuminati, or the Order of the Rose and Order of the Cross. Corporate members of Chatham House. Right? Royal Institute of International Affairs, Tavistock, that's Chatham House. But it's still only a part of the round table of Cecil Rhodes and Alfred Milner. So Chatham House is powerful in the world. So as members, British Army, Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, Cabinet Office, yeah? Cabinet Office, people. Ministry of Defence, Bank of England, BBC Monitoring, BlackRock. Corporate members, European Commission, ExxonMobil, Bloomberg, Boca Group, Boston Consulting, China International Capital Corporation, City of London. Corporate members, people. Yeah, Casey Family Programs, Brunswick Group, British Council, British American Business. All the banks over there, look. Bank of Japan, Barclays, BBC Monitoring, blah, 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 and on it goes. Open Society Foundation is owned by George Soros. It now looks like the powerhouse base for a global consortium. And it's in there. Round Table Group, Cecil Rhodes and Alfred Milner, and the War Cabinet that got us all into war. Got us to not surrender, to get America in, to build Israel. There is the network. Round Table. And you got CFR, you got United Nations, Trilateral Commission, Royal Institute of International Affairs, Club of Rome, and the Bilderberg Group. All satellites to the Round Table Group. BlackRock and Vanguard are the East India Companies. And the Massimo family claim to be the head of the Order of Malta, Fabian Society, Rhodes Milner Group, which set up the Round Table with, and the Royal Institute of International Affairs, which is Chatham House, were creations of the Order of Malta, with help from the Crown, HQ of Order of the Temple, which is owned by the Medici. RIA Chatham House created CFR, EU, UN, Bilderberg, Club of Rome, Trilateral. The Massimo family owns several mafias and cartels, but they're playing some smoke and mirrors with it. Who's actually at the top of the game, is my opinion. House of Saud. Saudi Centre for International Strategic Partnerships is Saudi Arabia's based think tank, which has members from royal family and government officials. This think tank is corporate member of Chatham House. Saudi Arabian government gets their orders from Chatham House via the SCISP. And these, again, are lists of corporate members of Chatham House. Rakos Capital Managers, Rolls-Royce, Russell Reynolds, Saab, SRM Intelligence and Risk, Standard Chartered, Sullivan Cromwell, blah, 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 Tata Limited. So everybody thinks it's an Indian company. Telegraph Media Group. Toshiba, Total Energies, UBS, UK Defence Solutions, US Africa Command. So that's NATO. Vital, Walmart, but golly. Aisha Brothers again, who are they? Yeah, there you go. World Food Programme. So the starvation's coming right out of there. Saudi Centre for International Strategic Partnership Directors. There they are, in all their glory. No nations against nations. Only in the minds of the populations. Prince Andrew, Duke of York, a Knight of the Garter, has personally visited China 8 times in the previous decade. Pitch and Palace is a platform founded by the Duke of York in 2014 to support entrepreneurs to accelerate and amplify their ideas. China's not its own nation, folks. Incus Company, eSign and Risproli Biopharmaceutical are the top 3 winners of Pitch and Palace, a platform founded by the Duke of York in 2014. Transformation Laboratory will be set up by the Pitch and Palace in Shenzhen in the future, said the Duke of York, to incubate and accelerate the work of entrepreneurs, adding that Shenzhen is a reliable base where global startups that want to enter China can start. China will further promote the close cooperation with the UK in innovation, platform construction, entrepreneurship, project incubation and financial capital docking, said Wang Zhigang, Minister of Science and Technology. We'll continue to support Pitch and Palace China and open up new space for scientific and technological cooperation between the 2 countries, with better innovation environments and more open innovation ecology. At the innovations of the Chinese People's Institute of Foreign Affairs, there he is. Duke Prince Andrew visited Shanghai, Guangzhou and Shenzhen in 2011. Madame Zhao Yufang, Vice Governor of Guangdong, and Mr. I'm better at saying Chinese names than I am of Italians, have you noticed? Major at Shenzhen met with the Duke of York separately. The 2 sides exchanged views on ways to deepen China-UK cooperation in trade and investment. Duke of York also met with Mr. Chen Hong, President of Shanghai Automotive Industry Corporation, and Mr. Lin Leho, Vice President of Shanghai Media Group. I've found the place. I'm Chinese. I've found it. I can talk Chinese. There you go. And this BYD gig is in Edinburgh, Glasgow, Isle of Man, Leeds, Dublin, Stratton, Birmingham, Southampton, and in the southwest. They're everywhere. General Secretary of the Council of the European Union, European Commission, and both a corporate member of Chatham House. Okay? Europe is a city gig. I've said this. Inner city of London. European Stability Mechanism. This is why they never gave you Brexit, ladies and gentlemen. We don't gain from Brexit. The city does. That's why they intend you to go back in. And every fruit bat anywhere around that says Brexit's killed the economy has forgotten what's just happened over the last 3 years. GlaxoSmithKline, Guardian, Hakluyt. Very important gig. I've got a report on them on my website. I'll put that up. Crescent Petroleum, ExxonMobil, Foreign Commonwealth Development, HSB Holdings, Intensa San Paulo, Jetro London. George Soros Open Society Foundation and Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation are partners at Chatham House. When CEO agent attacks Soros and Gates, they won't tell you that they are affiliated with Chatham House. Corporate members. There you go. AIG, Bill and Melinda, BP, Carnegie, Chevron, Clifford Chance, Crescent, Equinor, European Commission, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Ministry of Defence, Open Society Foundations. They just want to kill you, people. You're a soldier today in British Army. They want to kill you. Just like they did at Second World War and First World War. Get a grip. John L. Thornton, Gerhard Schroeder, Lord Sassoon. We've discussed the Sassoons, haven't we, and the Dangor before. Best friends with Edward VII. Very big in China. Moving the system into China. So John L. Thornton's big in the Americas. Trustee of the Asia Society, Chairman Barrick Gold Corporation, President Goldman Sachs, Chairman Luxic Group. Europe, Gerhard Schroeder, he was the gig in Germany, Chairman of the Shareholders Committee, Nord Stream. Nord Stream. Oh, former Chancellor of Germany, Jean Lemaire, Chairman of BNP Paribas. Paribas is a massive bank. We went through some of the families last week that are very involved with that. One of the major hidden banks, actually. Former President of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Lord Sassoon, Honorary President of the China-Britain Business Council, former Commercial Secretary to the Treasury of the United Kingdom. And that's from the Secretariat's piece in Chatham House. Dame Diane Julius, DCMG, CBE, is a member of China Investment Corporation. Senior advisor to Chatham House, also part of China Investment Corporation. This girl's a big girl. She's into a lot of gigs. China is under contract with the Arch. China Investment Corp is no different. Coroner D. Dongsi Shita. Poly stands for defending victory. So there's your Royal Arch symbolism everywhere that you get in Freemasonry. Royal Arch Masons. Yep. The arch of the heavens representing to the Hebrews the presence of God among them. Covenant, a usually formal, solemn and binding agreement. Yes. And pubastrology.com has done a lot of exposure of this little gig. There's some more pretty pictures of the rainbow. One of them has a crack in it, let me see. So it's all going to fall by design. China Investment Corporation. Yeah, all involved, all part of the same group of fruit bats. Skimming it all. Majid H. Jafar, senior advisor at Chatham House, grandmother is from the family of Aga Khan. It's India. Crescent Petroleum, Crescent Group, Dana Gas, Queen Rania Foundation, Arab Forum for Environment and Development, Atlantic Council, another big boy. Lubna Olyan, the Olyan Group, a senior advisor at Chatham House. Where have we got the? She's a big girl. With Saudis. Al-Wawa Bank. Board of Schlumberger. Mining sector. WPP PLC. Don't know what that is actually. American Merrill Lynch. Akbank Alliance SE and McKinsey & Co. Currently a trustee of the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, Massachusetts, also MIT, Ooh. As well as Asia Business Council. She chairs Alphanar, UK-based charity. That's going to be up to no good. Most powerful woman for many years running. So this is a big girl. Forbes says. Doctor of Laws, College Dublin, insignia of member of first class of the Royal Order of the Polish Star by His Majesty the King of Sweden, Carl Gustaf XVI. Miss Olin holds BSc Cornell University. She resides in Riyadh with her husband John Zephos. We've got 3 daughters. I'm going to look at that face again. That's a big girlie. But it's Sunak's fault, remember. It's not. These are the power. This is where power lives, people. Ali Wycock, a member of Chatham House with Erdogan, or Erdogan, whatever they call him. Ali Wycock. But he got took the piss out at university. Management faculty of Rice University, American Express, Morgan Stanley, Harvard Business School. So the Weinsteins will be probably his best mate. Brett and Tutherton. Board of Cock Financial Services, Yappy Credit Bank. He's chairman of Billcom Digital Panorama, Ford, Ottosan, Coctus, Ottokar, Setur. Never heard of these places. Turkey's biggest company, so this guy's. Board member at National Competition Research Association, board member at ECA, European Club Association, Endeavour Association, Global Advisory Council, Bank of America, Harvard University Council on Foreign Relations, member of panel senior advisor of Chatham House, and a member of Trade and Investment Council, the Confederation of British Industry. Gay Hugh Evans, a senior advisor, Chatham House, member called blah blah blah, CBE. What kind of colour has she got on? Genghis, chairman of London Metal Exchange. Ooh, that's a powerful, powerful body on these lands. And also serves on the boards of Standard Chartered, ConocoPhillips, S&P Global, HM Treasury. Trustee of Benjamin Franklin House, is member of the US Council for Relations, Indian UK Financial Partnership. Big girly, big girly. Chairman of the LME, supported and steering a number of key initiatives from the major technology infrastructure rebuild. So she's been putting all the Israeli processes in everything. They can blackmail us then. Gears work with finance, commodity industry, risk, governance, policy and regulation in capital markets. Awarded CBE 221 for service to the economy and philanthropy. Not our economy, guys. An OBE in 2016. So CBE and OBE for services to financial services and diversity. What diversity? Giving it all away. Feed the world. You didn't think they were going to bring them all in, did you? If you give a penny to that debauched bollocks it hates as you are, I touch your fruit bat. I never give them a piss. Gears previously served on the boards of Atua BBA International Financial Reporting Council, Aviva, Monster Insurance and London Stock Exchange. Held executive roles at Barclays Capital, City and the Financial Services Authority, Bankers Trust. Mark Carney, Governor of the Bank of England from 2013 to 2020, Governor of the Bank of Canada from 2008 to 2013, and was the Chairman of the Financial Stability Board. Yep, Brookfield Asset Management, ESG, Bank of Canada, yeah, Finance, yep. Canadian Department of Finance, big advocate for sustainability, oh, surprise, surprise, United Nations. He's currently at the United Nations for Climate Action and Finance, chair for the Glasgow Finance Alliance for Net Zero. Oh dear, Board of Stripe, PIMCO, Group of 30, World Economic Forum, Foundation Board, Harvard Board of Overseers, Oxford Blavatnik School of Government, the boards of Bloomberg Philanthropies, Peterson Institute for International Economies, and the Hoffman Institute for Global Business and Society at INSEAD. Also chair of the Global Advisory Board and Senior Counsellor of Macro Advisory Partners and chair of the Advisory Board with Canada. 2020. Mark was born in Fort Smith, Northwest Territories, Canada. After growing up in Edmonton, Alberta, he obtained a bachelor degree in economics from Harvard University and a master and doctorate degrees in economics from Oxford University. Financial Stability Board, that gives you an insight to its power. It's massive. Bank for International Settlements. There you go. Tim Geithner, International Monetary Fund, World Bank for World Trade. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Big boy, big boy. Ayman Asfari, Syrian British billionaire, senior advisor, Chatham House, Asfari Foundation, Asfari Institute of Civil Society, American University of Beirut, a member of Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Asfari graduated, blah, 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 blah. Desert Line Projects, US-based Petrofac. Petrofac, big boy there. Petrofac, Ernst & Young. YouTube, blah, blah, blah. He was named Oil Services Executive of the Year at the World National Oil Company Congress. So he shafted America, shut them down. He was elected Fellow of Energy Institute and Fellow of the Royal Academy of Engineering in the UK. Amon still serves as Petrofac Group's Chief Executive and remains its largest shareholder. 2006, along with his wife, Sosan, founded the Asfari Foundation to provide educational opportunities for young Middle Eastern scholars in the UK and to promote civil society in the Arab world. Like they weren't civil anyway. He serves as the chairman of the foundation and its principal's benefactor. The foundation helps set up the Asfari Institute for Civil Society and Citizenship in the AUB. Especially Syrian refugees. In light of recent crisis facing Syria, the foundation has increased humanitarian aid efforts, especially for Syrian refugees, and has spent tens of millions of US dollars supporting refugee education and civil society initiatives. Or has it? Board of Trustees for the American University of Beirut, Board of Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, and Business Ambassador to the UK Prime Minister. However, Syria's regime, political security, issued an order of arrest for this little fruit bat. because he's been doing some very naughty things in Syria of the military kind, so he's just talking bollocks, he's telling lies. So warrants have been issued from Air Force Defence, Air Force Intelligence, Military Intelligence, Political Security, Interior Ministry, Defence Ministry and Military Court and Military Police and other security services. So he's alright, Baden. Strive Masiyiwa, currently served. Now I think this is when it gets really creepy. When we're looking at creepy mass murdering Africans kind of territory. This is creepy shit now. Strive Masiyiwa currently serves on the boards of Unilever PLC, Netflix, Bill and Melinda Gates, National Geographic, Global Advisory Boards in Bank of America, CFR, Bloomberg, New Economy Forum, Rockefeller Foundation. Looks a bit like that doc fella, doesn't he, from Haiti. Founder and executive of Econet Group, Econet Wireless, Cassava Technologies, Fibre Broadband Network of Africa. Oh, yes. Renewable energy, cybersecurity, fintech, on-demand digital platforms. Currently serves on the boards of Unilever, Netflix, blah, 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 blah. Yep, done that. Board member at Rockefeller Foundation. Yes, this guy's a proper big boy, not a good one. Misawa is co-founder of an initiative to help 400 million African smallholder farmers. I'll bet he did. I wonder what he gave them. Known as the Alliance for Green Revolution Africa, AGRA, then became its second chairman after Kofi Annan. And since stepping down, he continues to serve as chairman emeritus. He was honoured for his work with the Norman Borlaug Medallion. There he is with Paul Kagame, Youth Entrepreneurship Town Hall with President Kagame and Strive Masiyiwa Kigali, 7th of December 2009. And they're all about the youth. Ah, yes. And there's the Kigali, I think. Oh, no. There is this fruitcake with Boris the Blonde Bombshell. Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting 2018. I think you get the picture of that one. That's Paul Kagame, rather, yeah, in Rwanda. Aha! Mark E. Leyland, Senior Vice Chatham House, Member of Common and Foreign Relations, and International Institute of Strategic Studies. President Mark E. Leland and Associates, Assistant Secretary to the Treasury for International Affairs, Senior Advisor to the Mutual Balance Force Reduction Negotiations in Vienna, Austria, and General Counsel of the Peace Corps. Mr. Leland has practiced law as a partner in Proskauer, Rose, Goetz, Mendelssohn in London, England, and Surf Robinson and Leland in San Francisco. Managing Director of the John Paul Getty and Gordon P. Getty Trust in Washington, D.C. Served on many corporate non-profit boards in Noble Drilling, Petroleum Finance Company, Strategic Investment Management, Zurich Financial Services, Advisory Board, Avon, Delta Drilling, Fidelity and Deposit Insurance, Global Asset Management, Kemper Investment Management, Caterpillar, Grove, Atlantic Monthly, Press, Getty Investment Corporation, SG Warburg. He's a big boy. Served co-chairman of the German Marshall Fund, president of the Washington Opera, and as a member of the board of the U.S. Institute of Peace and the Shakespeare Theatre, just to make him look groovy. Been a member of the Council of Foreign Relations, International Institute of Peace Studies, and visiting committee to the Kennedy School at Harvard University. Received his BA from Harvard, well, not surprising, California Berkeley School of Law, Ford Foundation Fellow of the Institute of Comparative Laws, Paris, France, and a faculty fellow in French and Soviet law at the Harvard Law School. Mark E. Leland has been a typical silent Trojan working through the Chatham House within the EU. He's a big boy. Jess Manuel Barroso, also PM Portugal, Chairman of the Non-Executive Director of Goldman Sachs, International President, European Commission, incorporated new members into the EU. There we go. European Commission, Goldman Sachs, Treaty of Lisbon. Yeah, when they shifted it all out, everybody said, no, we don't want to join, remember? Prior to that, he was Prime Minister of Portugal. position he was elected to in 2002, serving the Order of Malta. Robin Niblett quoted as stating, "All US presidents are replaceable puppets who don't have any power." Former director of Chatham House is the senior advisor to the CSIS. Here is an excellent example about how the Roman Empire runs the US by Chatham House. There he is. But he got his bum smacked for saying that. Nearly done, chaps. There's just a diagram of how these systems operate. We're nearly done. And so it came to pass, says I, all are deceived, and still they believe there is a world with sides. Ta-da! And ta-da again. Nimrod. And there's an addendum if you want a bit more data on the house Paleologos, which I won't go through, but it's there if you want it. So, sorry it took so long, chaps, but I was going off for quite a while before, and you guys had plenty of questions. So, what have you been saying? I'll run through quick and then I'll do one. It's 2.5 hours. They're getting longer, these things. As long as you're not bored, that's all that matters. So we've done that. Keep a bet. We've done. Right. So hang on. Element. They're referring to round. We had to send what. Right. Done that to Ukraine. Northern Element says, are they referring to Rao and Ketu, or other nodes? Quite possibly. They're up to something. I can't work it out, but this is not a normal eclipse. I'll tell you that now. They've either making it because they've got something built up there to fake it, or it's one of these other non-translucent or luminant bodies, and they're trying to turn it into something else, maybe. Are they referring to PNY early sunrise? All right, Paul. David Swimmer says looks just like Marina Abramovich and Jay-Z Ritual. Well, they're all mixed in with that, aren't they? It's like another Epstein gig. It's all part of the same. Mark says, I heard the sun is going to rise in the west on April the 8th. Anyone else heard or seen that? I can't see that happening, guys. David says, Kate does look nice to be part of that family. Yeah, she does. Northern Element. It were in Transpire. At, what were it? It were, I can't remember where he first met her, but I have an image of it, actually, where he's, like, in gobsmacked by her beauty. When they were younger, a lot younger. So, yeah, I think something moved in his pants. They must have seen it and offered her up on a plate. Northern Element, expected C job, yeah. Jerry says, yes, Sean, I saw Camille meeting with the Sinn Féin leader up Northern Ireland when Stormont reassembled, yeah. It's not rising from the east now. Well, you've got to remember as well, guys, as we go through the seasons, the sun does change position as to where it rises and sets. So be aware of that, because that does happen. We'll have to check that out more if we have a clear morning. David says, I'd say they're rubbing their hands with glee over all the theories over Kate. Exactly. They put it out knowing that everybody's going to go apeshit about it. And I don't do anything without a reason. Everything I do has a reason. I'm leading you to something. So keep that in mind. I don't get fooled by conspiracy theories. You know what I'm saying? Sun is rising in the east. Yeah, but no one is talking about Kate being an MTF. What's that? David says, they pretend to be peed off with theories as it reminds the masses what to think and not what to think. Yeah, it's all, everything's prescribed. I watched an excellent Chatham House, mind-controlling, shithead English guy talking to one of the European leaders, a female, and he said to her, but, and I'm going to paraphrase because I can't, it's something like, but really, was there any real opposition? And she looked at him and she said, does it actually matter? And he said, something blah. She went, what did she say? he said, the way you frame your, she said, the way you frame your question, you think you're so amazing or something like. She said, we're not like you, and to be quite honest, we don't like you. She made him look that big, but 40 years ago, every Britisher would have gone, oh, disgusting. But honestly, the patronising bastard tried to flip her with word wizardry, and she just mocked him, made him look that big. You know, I'll have to find that and show it next week. David says David says Yasmin Alibi. I'm not sure what you mean there, Mucker. David says, could you imagine 30 years ago arseholes being allowed to fire 3 rockets, open portals at CERN at all schools shut in US? Some of our combat jet fighters need to start pretending they're all for it and get one of them fucking machines and go and pick your targets well and fucking cause havoc. Yanks and all, you Top Guns. You know, we need some infiltrated Top Guns in there that'll blow the fuck out what really needs to be blown the fuck out of. Jerry says, sowing the seeds of hate to stoke the fire, showing favouritism to those arriving over those that built it. Of course they want us to get cross, because as soon as we do, that's bad. That's not going to be good at all. You think this is crap? No. It's all smoke and mirrors in this gaff. Absolutely, says Northern Element. No doubt hiding the fact that they are herding men of fighting age away from the area of the 33rd parallel in preparation for the main event. Well, that's potentially, there's something going on. They've been moving a lot of tanks as well. Mark says, namely Councillor Paul Clark at full meeting in the Guildhall in Northampton. They're all shitheads, mate, honestly. Daniel Bygrave. Hello, Daniel. NASA reckons they are going to fire 3 rockets at the moon when the eclipse happens for whatever reason. I do not know. Well, if you're here next week, I'll present to you an image that I've presented before that clearly shows that the moon is translucent. It's not a solid object. And also I have some observatory records of the same thing back in the day in London. So I'll try and give them to you next week. So what are we on, 31st? When is it? The 8th? Is it next Sunday? Is that the 7th next Sunday? So we have another live stream before. That might be interesting. But I don't know what to make of it. But if the sun and the moon are not in Aries, and we're in April, there's a count out somewhere. Something's not right. And they're going to be presenting this as a sun and moon eclipse. Mark says, the sun definitely used to rise in direct view of my office window, and now it doesn't. I have to get up and look to the right to see. Is that... Oh, okay, well. It does move, though, in its journey. June says, we are living in Soviet-British regime now, Sean. Well, I'm not going to argue with that, chick. Jerry says, get them out, Fruit Bats Incorporated. It's about right, isn't it? Jerry says, 2.5, Sean. Oh, well, nice one, matey. Smash the like, you lurkers. Yeah, smash them like buttons, you buggerlugsies. They take them off anyway. I watch them. But do it anyway. Star Twinkle. Hey, Sean, good to see thee. And good to see thee. And Star Twinkle, whoever Star Twinkle is. Good to see you. Jerry Sonamic says, yes, the Florida Lee. David says, wasn't a black and white movie star called Mary Mitford? Oh, that rings a bell, actually, David, yeah. Jerry Sonamic says, could be David, most actors are tied in those bloodlines and chin. All the fucking entire entity. If you were to go through Kirk Douglas, all these famous actors, you'll find something very surprising. They're all Jewish. John Wayne were telling us what was going on in Hollywood. And they sidelined him as some kind of... John Wayne were telling you what was going on. And the Rat Pack, next week, you'll understand who Sinatra, Dean Martin, I can't remember his name, all them, Reagan, all those associated with the Rat Pack, who were controlling that. You'll see all that next week. Every single bit of it. I have a list somewhere, actually, of every actor from Hollywood and the real names. You won't believe it. I was shocked. I'd never have dreamt that was the case, honestly. Where are we there? Kerry looks like Lurch from the Munsters, longest head ever. Kerry? Who's Kerry? Could be David, most actors are tied to those bloodlines. Yep. Kerry looks like Lurch. Yo, so again, if anybody's trying to ring me up, you can't ring me up. My phone's, they killed me SIM. So you'll have to, if you want me to, you'll have to get me in contact with me email. My phone's, it just doesn't work and they won't fix it. Little shit. Could be David's most actor, but Kerry looks like, yeah. It's a perception placed in the mind is the crown. Assumption and presumptions made by most on what the crown is, the wizardry of the word. Dan forgot it was Sunday. Oh, what an excuse, Space Opera. Jerry says Space Opera. Okay, only missed 2 hours. You're funny about where we're going. We're going up to 3. This is getting ridiculous. Any more thoughts on the Hydra loop? Downloaded the PDF you provided. Well, I give up on it because it was just bizarre, and other people were sort of suggesting that it were actually set up as a good thing in its original form. To be honest, I just give up. I couldn't make any sense of it, to be honest. So, sorry, no. We didn't. Jackie says, hello, Jackie. Welcome, Northern Element. I'm talking about Kate being M2F. For sure, but many won't who don't want to believe it. Male to female, I get that. Okay. I have to say, if they've done her, they did a good job, because she is a beautiful woman. She is a beautiful woman. Like, I never thought Diana was beautiful, ever, when I was younger. I never saw her as beautiful. When she came to act, same, I didn't see her as beautiful. But, well, you can't, who knows with today? They're so good at it. We need that leader in the Sum Chin Wong. Sum Chin Wong. Star Twinkle says, who's Prince Carlo Massimo? Charles Dance's twin brother. Oh, I said. Slipknot says, Jackie Kate. Yes, Kate is a bloke. Well, right, well, good looking bloke then. That's a good job. She went going right time in the 80s when I was around, I'll tell you. For sure, says Jackie. Okay. Gary says, they're all actors playing the part in the Jesuit Theatre. But we're the actors as well, folks. Don't forget that. Jackie says, that's what I keep on saying. All the world's a stage. A weird one, too. It's a bloody horror movie. Never mind, Airtels. Northern Element says, Sean, MTF, male to female. Got you now. Yeah, thank you for that. Jerry says, yes, Sean, one live stream before. Brill. That might be interesting then. Although I do have next week's already set up because we did that 6663, a lot of stuff that I were collecting anyway for what I just didn't do it. So, okay, Gary says, so you think you're a Romeo playing a part in the picture show? Take the long way home, super tramp. Go on, Gary. Gary says, Jacinda Ardern was swapped when she got a Mason scholarship. Alright, look at Kate's skeletal markers, clearly a chap. Well, on that bombshell, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say thanks for joining. Thanks for putting up with a 2 hour 41 minutes live stream. I'll put all relevant stuff underneath it at some time, maybe tomorrow or maybe some tonight. But I have to say thank you very, very much and well done for hanging on for 2.5 hours. But don't forget to bang that subs jobs, and donations are always very, very well received. I have to thank you. Thank you very much, and till the next time.
electronic